All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. I see that my camera's out of focus here. There we go. Yes, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you for waiting patiently as the intro finishes up. See, there's a lot of interesting conversation happening in the chat right now. Which is always interesting, right? But yeah, appreciate you guys being here. We have quite a few different topics to go over and discuss in depth today. You're getting a couple of them right in the title. We're talking, well, actually, the first topic that we're going to talk about briefly, I don't know how much there is to really say about it. I'm sure I'll have something to say about it, which is why I listed it as a topic, but the new white Xbox Series X, digital only, apparently, leaked out. I figured this will be relevant to the conversation because we know that PlayStation offers a digital PS5 with a detachable disk drive, or a disk drive you can buy separately and attach to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Helldivers 2. We're talking a lot about the PS5 Pro once again, because I have two different reports here on the PS5 Pro. One is brand new that we haven't covered yet. The other is something that we covered in yesterday's video, but I want to talk about it more extensively. Actually, where did it go? Okay, yeah. One's new, one's from kind of like an extension from what we covered yesterday. We're also talking about how a PlayStation 5 exclusive that is going to be releasing on PC apparently will require a pretty high-end PC in order to run it the same way that you would expect it to run on the PS5. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're talking about Sony Santa Monica's next game, as we have seemingly our first direct tease from Cory Barlog about this game. And I want to go over what people think this game is and when exactly we could expect to see it. And then last, but maybe least, I don't know, we'll see if we get to it, is PlayStation has apparently won a lawsuit, like a $500 million lawsuit over the controller. I don't know if it's for the DualSense or what, but yeah, these are all things that we're going to be going over and discussing today, guys. And so before we dive into any of these conversations, just a couple things I want to remind you of or let anybody know in case they're new here. First off, thank you for watching the streams live. It's awesome that you guys tune in as frequently as you do to hang out with me and chat gaming. But also shout out to everybody who watches the streams after the fact. Thank you so much for all of the support. Do me a favor, hit that like button. We are sitting at 40 likes. I think we could easily get to 50 likes. Hitting the like button not only lets me know that you enjoy the content, but it also just really helps with YouTube's algorithm and whatnot, and it helps the streams. So don't hesitate to hit that like button. 3 ways you can support me, my channel, and this community directly. I do rely on you guys to be able to do what I do here. And so we are fan funded. The first way is you can become a channel member. You gain access to some exclusive perks. One of those perks is the Members Lounge. We will be doing a Members Lounge after today's stream. It's going to be a second gameplay stream for Rise of the Ronin, which I'm actually very excited about because I'm loving this game right now. So if you are a channel member or if you get gifted a channel membership, be sure to tune in to that Members Lounge after this stream wraps up. Consider gifting memberships. I see we have Alexander. Alexander comes in and kicks us off with a membership gift already. So Alexander, thank you so much for that, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for getting this train going here. I'm going to add that to the counter. And yeah, so you can do what Alexander's doing here. Consider gifting some memberships. I know a lot of people really appreciate those membership gifts. And obviously we want to encourage anybody who gets a membership gift to please consider re-upping your membership month over month to help support, again, the channel and the community directly. Last but certainly not least, consider donating a super chat. Ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, anything in between. it helps just as much. So yeah, thank you guys for everything you do. You make this content and this channel possible. Yeah, Pub of Ronins. There you go. There you go, Corey. Yeah. I'm probably not going to call it that. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, we are going to dive into the first topic here, which is the leaked Xbox Series X white all-digital model. This is being reported by WCCF Tech. The rumored Xbox Series X all-digital model seems to be real and coming, as some leaked pictures provided the first look at the yet-to-be-announced system. The new pictures, which were shared today by Xputer, highlight how the new system won't look that much different from the current model, with the exception of the removed disk drive. The new system, according to today's report, is also going to have a few upgraded components, such as the heatsink, but for the most part, it won't be much different from the regular Xbox Series X. Additionally, it should retail sometime this summer for less than $499 in the US, although the final price has yet to be confirmed. The Xbox Series X all-digital model has been rumored to be in the works for some time, but it's not the only piece of hardware the company is supposedly working on. Alongside the next-generation Xbox, Microsoft may be gearing up for the release of a handheld gaming device that would play Xbox games natively. While the company has yet to decide on the matter, it has multiple prototypes suggesting that it's heavily being considered. So yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this. The white digital-only Xbox Series X, I have a couple of questions with this console, okay? Earlier, well, actually, it wasn't this year. It was, I think, sometime last year. I can't remember if it was late last year or sometime in the middle of last year, but there was a major Microsoft and Xbox leak. And in this leak, they mentioned this refreshed Xbox Series X. And one of the things that it did mention is it was going to be digital only. And there was seemingly this emphasis on like that was going to be the way forward for Xbox, as in this new digital-only Xbox Series X that they're going to release with an updated heatsink is going to be the console they manufacture and sell. And they will continue to sell the regular Series X with the disk drive, but again, the leaks seem to imply that that's going to be phased out and essentially Microsoft's going to go digital only. There was no mention of a detachable disk drive being sold separately for this digital Xbox Series X. And so a lot of people were very concerned about that, understandably so. We don't want to see Microsoft go all digital. At least I don't. I think a lot of people don't. Although you can kind of understand why Microsoft would be the first one to do it. But yeah, that's kind of the question I have with this Xbox Series X. We know how Sony is handling the digital PlayStation 5 model. I mean, they started pretty simple at the beginning of this generation. There's two different models, one with a disk drive, one without. One's 500, one's 400. Decide which one you want to buy. And then we saw that transform into a singular PlayStation 5 model where you can just detach the disk drive, or if you buy the digital one, you can buy the disk drive separately. And so a lot of people, I think, are totally okay with this because Sony is making it very clear that they're still supporting physical discs, right? There's no question about it. If you buy that digital console, you will always be able to buy a disk drive separately. That will be an option, at least all throughout the PlayStation 5 generation. That's what I want to know with this leaked Xbox Series X. Is this going to phase out the current disk drive $500 Series X model? If so, is Microsoft going to announce that this digital Xbox Series X with an updated heatsink, which is, it's interesting that they're updating the heatsink, right? I'm not exactly sure why they're doing this, but they are making some kind of tweak to it. I would like to know if it's going to be a digital only console. I would not be surprised, truthfully, if Microsoft just kind of comes out here sometime this year and is like, here's the refreshed Xbox Series X and it's digital, and yeah. And then we find out going into 2025 and 2026 and beyond that basically they're phasing out the Series X model and they're going to start to phase out actual physical games for the Xbox console. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom about that. I just think that that is the track that Microsoft is currently on. I think Sony is on that track too, but Sony is much further away from reaching the end of that track, and the end being all digital, right? No more physical support directly. And so I hope that's not what happens. But another thing I want to mention before moving on here is it's very, very interesting to me that by the end of this year, we're going to see very different things console-wise coming from Sony and coming from Microsoft. On Sony's side, we're getting a fully, upgraded PlayStation 5 Pro, decked out PS5 that's going to be way more powerful, at least in terms of just sheer compute power. And on Microsoft's side, they're not doing anything apparently. Like this Series X model, the only thing that is updated is the heatsink. It will do the exact same thing for games that the current Series X does. Very interesting. You would have thought that it would have been the opposite, right? You would have thought that Microsoft would have also had a mid-gen refresh. We have Nicholas here with a $5 super chat saying, MBG, have you heard that Gearbox was acquired by Take-Two Interactive for $460 million? What do you think about it? Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for that, Nicholas. And yeah, I did come across that this morning, and I guess it's not too surprising because we heard that Embracer Group was actually shopping Gearbox around. Like, we were hearing reports that they were certainly looking to maybe sell them off. And you look at Embracer Group as a whole, and they are just divesting big time, right? Like, they really got themselves into a terrible situation, as well as the development teams and the any publishers that they may have bought. Or it's just clear that Embracer Group didn't really know what they were doing. And not only are they paying the price, but again, all of the development teams, all of the IP, all of this is suffering because of some very poor decision making. But it is, I think, good that at least with something as big as Gearbox, they were able to find, I would say, a good home. I mean, Take-Two isn't. I don't know how people view Take-Two as like a publisher. I don't see them as that bad. Like, they're certainly not the worst. And it seems like Take-Two, I don't know if they got a good deal or not. If I'm not mistaken, I think Embracer Group paid way more than $460 million for Gearbox when they purchased them. So I think they're selling them at quite a significant loss. But, when you're sinking as rapidly as Embracer Group is, you got to take what you can get, I assume. So Gearbox lives on at Take-Two. We'll see how Take-Two handles them. And I think that people are just kind of glad that the worst case scenario was avoided, which is, obviously with situations like this, the worst case is some of these places, some of these studios and these publishers can just get shut down. Casualties of Gaming are saying, no, they didn't. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know how much Embracer Group paid for. I saw somebody mention it was like over $1 billion or something like that. Saying $1.3 billion for Gearbox. That's what they sold for. $460 million purchased by Take-Two. Yeah, I think it was Steven Totillo on X. He was like saying that there's more to it, that it's not that simple. To be honest, I don't really care about that side of it. All I know is that Embracer Group is not in a good place. And like, Gearbox is one of the probably, I would say, more valuable publishers or, developers that you have. And you would think that that's one of the last ones that you would want to sell, but that is the situation that they're in right now. So, Nicholas, thank you for the super chat, man. Pivoting back to close out this Xbox Series X topic. Again, I don't have too much to say about it, but yes, I'm going to be interested to see how Microsoft announces this. If they're going to make it clear whether or not this is going to be the new Series X to phase out the old one, and whether or not they're going to follow in Sony's footsteps and offer a detachable disk drive. I would hope that they would offer that, or if not offer a detachable disk drive, make it clear to everybody that, look, we're not phasing out the base model Series X. We're going to continue to produce that. We're going to continue to sell that. So if you want to play discs, we'll have that option. That is something that I think Microsoft should do, but we will find out nonetheless. We're going to move on to the next topic here, which talks about Helldivers 2. It was February's highest grossing game, Market analysts report that Helldivers 2 topped the revenue charts in February as the highest grossing game of the month. The same report also says it was the 15th most played game on PlayStation and PC. This information comes from a recent report by the market research company Newzoo. According to the report, Helldivers 2 was the highest grossing video game in the US and Italy. Meanwhile, it was the second highest grossing in the UK, Spain, France, and Germany, behind EA Sports FC24. This was still enough to make it the highest grossing game globally, with the US and UK accounting for the largest shares of revenue. The report goes on to say that Helldivers 2 was February's 15th most played game on PC and PlayStation by monthly active users. For shooters specifically, it came in third on PlayStation and 6th on PC. Newzoo also says that about 4.8% of PC and PlayStation gamers played Helldivers 2 in February. Additionally, the average player spent about 20 hours in the game last month. Newzoo also looked at where players were coming from. According to the report, about 35.5% of players who stopped playing Fortnite went over to Helldivers 2. So, very interesting. Apparently, Helldivers 2 courted quite a few Fortnite players. Meanwhile, 31% of Palworld's lost players joined Helldivers 2. The percentages were 28.4% for Lethal Company, 17.5% for the finals, and a combined 16.5% for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 3, and Warzone. The report doesn't give the exact number of players who came over from each game. Call of Duty, Lethal Company, and Fortnite also had the largest player overlap with Helldivers 2. So some really interesting and I would say telling information coming from Newzoo about Helldivers 2. I don't know how many of you guys are still playing Helldivers 2. I'm still playing it, not nearly as much, but like today, for example, I got a couple of games in, and I'm still trying to just keep up so I can continue to level up, hopefully get to the max level, and try to unlock all of the different requisitions and whatnot. But yeah, man, you know, just once again highlighting how Helldivers 2 is an absolute behemoth of a game, that it just completely took over February. I think it's kind of mind-blowing that the only game that was really competing at a high level with Helldivers 2 was FIFA, essentially, or FC24. And like just the fact that Helldivers 2 is right behind it, I you know, considering how popular that game is, it just goes to show that Sony and Arrowhead, I think, really have something special in their hands. Now, I don't know if Helldivers 2 is like going to climb from this point. I think it may have. I think it's safe to say it has peaked by now. But going forward, what I'm going to be interested in kind of paying attention to is whether or not they're going to be able to maintain their player base, right? Maintain a healthy player base that is not only there playing the game, but as they continue to add content and, you know, add different ways to get more revenue, it's going to be interesting to see if Helldivers 2 continues to thrive. Because I definitely feel the slowdown, you know, now that we're approaching the 2-month mark. And what I mean by that is I can just see that it's not something that people are talking about as much, not nearly. And this is normal, right? It's very rare that games are talked about in the same exact way, you know, multiple months after launch, no matter how successful they are. But it seems like right now the player base is still very healthy, and no matter what, Sony and Arrowhead will look back and say, well, yeah, this game was a huge success. It took over February, and I don't think that will be forgotten anytime soon. In fact, I do wonder if there's going to start to eventually be like some kind of Helldivers clones being made by other teams. It'll be interesting to see. April 11th, there's going to be a new Warbond, new mechs. Was this confirmed? New vehicles as well. Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of stuff leaking out. It's funny because I still see people kind of engaging with the Helldivers social media accounts and whatnot, because they're just, the way they're doing their marketing, I guess you could say, is very interesting, very unique, very different, where it's like they're just kind of putting this stuff in the game and they're making it sound like, no, it's not real, or like, no, that's not a thing. And like players are actually like encountering it and be like, It is real, and it's creating this. It's very fascinating. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this for a game. I mean, I talked about this at the launch of Helldivers 2, where I'd never seen anything like this for a game. But just the fact that it's still continuing to kind of lean into this dynamic between the community and the developers, it's very unique. And I think if anything, that is what will allow it to kind of live on in a strong way going forward. But there you go. Wanted to give you guys that update on the situation with Helldivers. But now we're going to dive into, I would say, the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of this conversation, which is the PlayStation 5 Pro conversation. I have a new report for you guys, which I actually have to bring up real quick because I accidentally closed out of it, as well as something we covered yesterday, but I want to talk about more in depth. So give me 1 second to bring this up. And we also have PlayStation Pete coming in with a super chat saying, I bought Rise of the Ronin today, had a $100 gift card. Final Fantasy has a platinum trophy glitch for Chapter 12, and I'm enjoying Ronin. I haven't heard about this platinum trophy glitch for Final Fantasy. I hope they fix that really soon, because if there's something that I do know about the platinum for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is it's incredibly difficult. It's like one of the most challenging platinums out there. And so if that's true, that there's also a glitched trophy, that sounds infuriating. And PlayStation Pete, I know that you definitely want to get that platinum. So hopefully they correct it. Hopefully they correct that soon. I'm really happy to hear that you're enjoying Rise of the Ronin, though, PlayStation Pete, and I'm glad you were able to purchase it. I'm telling you guys, I kind of can't stop playing this game. Obviously, I'm breaking away from it to play a little bit of Helldivers, to play a little bit of Dead by Daylight here and there, but the bulk of my time gaming has been spent on Rise of the Ronin, and I'm telling you, I'm just enjoying it more and more as I progress in the game. I feel like I have a much better feel for the combat. I'm enjoying the combat. I'm not taking it too seriously. I'm just having fun, and it's a fantastic time. I probably will be doing a review on it. At least that's my hope. So, yeah. And again, Members Lounge. After today's stream, we're going to be playing more Rise of the Ronin. So, PlayStation Pete, thank you for the super chat, buddy, and I hope that you are ultimately able to get the FF7 Rebirth Platinum. Heading over to the PlayStation 5 Pro topic, I have an article here from WCCF Tech. The title reads, PlayStation 5 Pro Zen 2 CPU will be denser than the base models. Spectral Super Resolution is not a fork of FSR2. In other words, Sony built this Spectral Super Resolution from the ground up. This is not based off of current technology from AMD. So it says here, while the PlayStation 5 Pro CPU is said to offer minimal improvements over the base model, it could bring more enhancements than anticipated. In a new video shared this week, Moore's Law is Dead, who revealed additional information on the yet-to-be-revealed PS5 Pro, provided some small new updates on the system, as well as the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaler. According to the leaker, the console's Zen 2 CPU will be a 4-nanometer CPU, which will be denser and potentially provide additional improvements over the base model's processor, such as reduced power consumption, better cost efficiency, and a smaller form factor, which is interesting, because I think a lot of people are wondering how big is the PS5 Pro going to be. As such, the system could be smaller than the base model and the Slim revision launched last year. Speaking about the system's price, Moore's Law is Dead revealed that the system could actually fit in the $500 price tag if Sony wants it to. As mentioned above, the leaker also provided some new information on the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscale technology, which will debut with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Apparently, PSSR is not a fork of the upcoming AMD FSR4 upscaler and has been completely developed by Sony from the ground up. As such, it will be very interesting to see if it will be a much better solution compared to AMD's FSR upscaler, especially on consoles where the superior NVIDIA DLSS is not available. And so I thought this was actually some pretty interesting information about the PS5 Pro. A lot of people have been very critical of the CPU, but according to Moore's Law is Dead, the CPU inside of the PS5 Pro is going to be it's going to be a 4 nanometer CPU, and this is essentially going to allow Sony to, I think, really cut costs on this console, and this could be good for us. It's hard to say. It really depends on what price point Sony plans to sell the PS5 Pro for, because, as Moore's Law is Dead points out here, is based off of what he knows about this CPU and it being 4 nanometer. He knows how much it's going to reduce the cost. He's saying if Sony really wants to, if it's a priority for them, they can sell this console without a disk drive for $500. Now, I'm not assuming that's what they're going to do, but it really, I think, depends on how desperate Sony becomes to move more PS5 units. We know that the PS5 console is slowing down a little bit. It's likely going to pick up again at some point once Sony starts announcing more projects and stuff like that. And who knows, maybe the PS5 Pro will actually start to boost PS5 sales once again. But if Sony does get desperate enough, there could be a situation here where they say, okay, we're going to start selling the base the base PS5 for $400. We're going to drop it by $100 so we can move as many units as we can. To be honest, we've already kind of seen Sony willing to do this in certain territories. We've seen Sony reduce the console by about $100 or so in like the UK and stuff like that. Or I guess it would be like £100. But yeah, I thought that this was fascinating because it gives us a little bit more insight into what exactly is going into the PS5 Pro and what it's going to do. I find it really fascinating that there's speculation that this console could actually somehow be smaller than even what we see now with the PS5 Slim. Again, I'm not expecting that. I'm assuming the PS5 Pro will certainly be larger than the PS5 Slim. I think the real question is, will it be the same size or even larger than the base model PS5? Because the base model PS5 is a absolute monster of a console. And so, yeah, in terms of CPU performance, as we know, it's not going to be much different. It's going to get about a 10% boost compared to the base PS5. And here's something that I want to emphasize, because a lot of people don't seem to understand this, or they're just not fully grasping, like, I guess, the point of the PS5 Pro. There's been a lot of conversation ever since we learned about the PS5's Pro's CPU and the fact that it's essentially going to be the same, but it's going to be like a 10% boost essentially. A lot of people are saying, well, I guess that means we're not getting games at 60 FPS. This is where people are mistaken. The only games, as I've emphasized, and it's worth emphasizing here once again, the only games that are not going to be able to achieve 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro are games that are CPU bound. Most games, the overwhelming majority of games, are not CPU bound. The overwhelming majority of games are GPU bound. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The overwhelming amount of games that are on the market today are not CPU bound. They are GPU bound. Are there some games that are CPU bound? Yes, but they're far and few in between. And truthfully, those games were only ever going to be able to achieve a 60 FPS on what we would consider next-gen hardware anyway. So with that in mind, the PS5 Pro, again, it will help frame rates. It will help frame rates. And people need to understand that, because what it's going to do is specifically PSSR, the spectral resolution. It's going to take the pressure off of the GPU. It's going to take the pressure off of developers to have to run a native internal resolution of 1440p or 4K. They're going to be able to run games at a native internal resolution of 1080p, or in some maybe extreme cases even lower, so that way they can use PSSR to bump it up. Boss, chill out, bro. Guys, come on. I'm going to have to ask you to start dropping some memberships so we can hit our goal, so I can let Boss in here and we can give him some snacks. But yeah, this is something that I think people are just not really paying attention to. We have Bobby Heckelmeyer his 5th time super chatting, dropping a super chat here. Thank you for that, Bobby, saying, it's my birthday, MBG. I'm finally a legal adult. Well, happy birthday, Bobby. I hope you have a good birthday. Thank you for stopping by my stream on your birthday and letting me know, man. I'm assuming you're 18 now, so go listen to if you did just turn 18, because I mean that's legal adulthood. Go listen to Alice Cooper's 18. It's my one of my favorite songs. Not sure if you ever heard it, but go check it out. Corey answers the call here, guys. Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops 10 membership gifts on you guys. 10 people gifted by Corey. Corey once again doing the heavy lifting.
Thank
Corey,
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. I had to give you that. I had to give you the boss there because I know that's why you did it. If we hit 25 members, I will bring Boss in at the end of the stream. We'll give him some snacks. If we hit 50 members, I'll do some reps. All right? I'll do some reps at the end of the stream. And for every goal we hit, whether it's, every 25 we hit, I'll do more reps, okay, at the end of the stream. Hold on one sec. Okay. Heatwave, Heatwave says no. Keep Boss out. He's annoying. I am gonna have to bring him in later because he really is starting to get a little bit too crazy, where I can't even focus on the topics at hand that I want to discuss. But he will still be here. No worries. He'll just come later on when we're finished up the topics. Okay. Corey's trying to summon Boss. That's why he dropped the 10 bomb. But Corey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate all you do for the channel and for this community. I'm going to add these to the counter. So we're sitting at 11 members. Let's see if we can keep this membership train going today. I'd really appreciate that. And Bobby, once again, thank you for the super chat, my friend. And so, yes. Yeah, I know, dude. Boss is going nuts at the bottom of the door there. He's trying to break in, man. He's trying to ruin all my stuff in this office here. So it's okay though. It's okay for now. But yes, getting back to the conversation of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I put in my title, the PS5 Pro will surprise people. I think there are a few reasons for this. I think the PS5 Pro is going to surprise people in just what it does. I think we're going to see very clearly that, wow, this console is actually going to bump most games up to a stable 60 FPS because most games are already targeting 60 FPS. In fact, if you think about it, one of the biggest problems that people currently have with the current gen consoles and a lot of the big AAA games that launch on them isn't that they don't target 60 FPS, it's that they struggle to maintain that 60 FPS and they struggle to do so at higher resolutions. This is exactly what the PS5 Pro is going to correct. It's going to come in with the PSSR upscaler and say, no worries, you can get this game running at what will be perceived as native 4K, and we're going to just blast through and hit a stable 60 FPS. And there is a chance, I don't know how often it's going to happen, but there is a good chance that some games will be able to actually, wow, we have so much overhead, we can maybe run at 120 hertz. Right? Like that is a thing we're already seeing with some AAA games that are very optimized for the PS5 coming from Sony's first party. And so the idea that the PS5 Pro can come in and offer that more so, it's not that unrealistic. But another thing that I think is going to surprise people with the PS5 Pro is you see so much negativity out there, and that's fine. I guess it's to be expected. It's to be expected, right? And really quick, Capono, you're saying, MBG, can you provide a source on your claim of GPU, of most games being GPU bound? Well, first of all, the first source I'll say is Moore's Law is Dead. If you go listen to his show, he was talking about that. He was pointing out that I think the percentage he used, and I don't know how specific he was actually trying to be, but he used the percentage about like 90% of games. But You don't have to really go to Moore's Law is Dead as a source to have that confirmed. Just look at games on the PS5 right now. How many games are stuck at 30 FPS? As in, they just simply, there's no performance mode. I'm not questioning how good or bad some of these performance modes are. I'm just saying how many games are flat out coming out and saying we are at 30, and that's it. Because that right there shows you that most games are GPU bound, not CPU bound, because games that are CPU bound can't even offer performance modes. This was why people were losing their minds about Starfield, right? When it came out, because Starfield is a prime example of a very CPU bound game. And people who knew this were trying to come out and explain that, listen, this game, it has so many different things tethered to the CPU that if they tried to run it at 60 FPS on the Series X, it would get overloaded. It just simply can't handle it. And they can't just flip the engine upside down and say, well, let's just, make this a GPU bound game all of a sudden, right? Let's just change our engine. It's not that simple. It's just not that simple. So it really comes down to game engines. Okay, what are game engines built for? And most game engines right now, again, they are more GPU bound than CPU. So it's going to be, I think, good at the end of the day, the PS5 Pro that is, because it's going to do more for games than I think people are making it sound like. That's going to be up to Sony to show that and convey that, though. I'm not out here saying take my word for it. I'm just saying that's what I think. But I have another reason why I think the PS5 Pro is going to surprise some people. We have Waleed is now a game cat, specifically a white tiger, saying best PS5 Pro feature will be VR2 at native 120 FPS. Yeah, that is something that I think does go overlooked, which is understandable why, because most people don't have PSVR 2. But yes, we will see a significant boost with PSVR 2 or for PSVR 2, with the PS5 Pro. I have PSVR 2. I don't really use it that often, but I'm assuming I will use it again in the future, certainly. And honestly, I'll probably use it more so on the PS5 Pro, just knowing that it'll be able to run games much better. And like you're saying, higher frame rates for VR is crucial. It's absolutely crucial, more so than just playing regular games. Yeah, see, Ghost 888 gets it. He says, if games are already running at 60 and you increase the GPU by about 50% when we should just be getting better graphics at 60, I'm cool with that. But see, it goes a step further than that, though, which is interesting. I'm telling you, this is where people, I think, they're not fully, and Ghost, I'm not saying you don't fully get it, but it's just people are overlooking PSSR. Not everybody, but more people than you would expect are overlooking PSSR because PSSR is going to free up more GPU. And so essentially what it could allow, well, to be honest, it almost sounds like what we could see PSSR do is not only stabilize frame rates, but it's going to, I think, increase ray tracing substantially. Like, this is something we've heard about the PS5 Pro, and like a big talking point is like, we're going to see all the ray tracing. We're going to see games just kind of go from 0 to 10 with ray tracing. And that's another reason why any game that's utilizing PSSR will likely have so much GPU overhead by that point that they can just let's just crank up the ray tracing, man. Because ray tracing, as of right now on the PS5, it's there sometimes, but it's really not that great. And when it is good, it's so far and few in between. It's like, it doesn't really feel like an actual feature on the console. We have PlayStation Pete. He says MBG sent you info about the trophy bug on X. I appreciate that, PlayStation Pete. I'm surprised I haven't heard anybody else talking about this, but I'm assuming that's because most people probably are not trying to actually platinum the game. I think most people are just trying to actually beat the game. So PlayStation Pete, I'll try to check that out later. Thank you for sending me that, and thank you for letting me know. But here's another reason why I think the PS5 Pro is going to surprise people. People are talking about this console as if it's not going to sell well, as if it's not going to sell out, as if it's not going to be a desirable console. But I think what is very, very likely, in fact, I feel so confident I say this will happen, you're going to see the PS5 Pro sell out probably instantaneously. You're going to see more demand for the PS5 Pro than what people are making it sound right now. Do I think the PS5 Pro is going to sell more than the base PS5? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to generate excitement, and you're going to see people on the internet when this console's announced saying, I'm absolutely buying that. In fact, I put out a post on X where I simply asked, would you buy a $600 PS5 Pro? And the amount of, like, even just, I got a ton of replies. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of people saying no, not interested, but I also saw just as many people saying absolutely yes. And this is where I think, again, people are, I think, have tried very hard to downplay the PS5 Pro. And I get it. I'm in agreement with most people when they say it feels like this generation hasn't really gotten off to a proper start. I'm in agreement. I think this generation has been pretty good, not the best, but I've enjoyed it. I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy this generation so far. I have, and I still am. But I can also very much acknowledge that it's just been weaker in general, where even when it comes to announcements, the announcements are, like, where are they at this point? But most of the games have been sequels, and they've been great. And most of them have been cross-gen. And so there's just this kind of feeling of lacking from Sony with the PS5 generation. And this is why I said before, when we were hearing about the specs of the PS5 Pro, that this is a great opportunity, if Sony handles it right, to kind of soft relaunch the PS5. Especially, look, I don't know that Sony's going to do it. I don't think they will. But man, it would be so smart of them. I mean, financially speaking, I don't know if it would be smart of them. But if they really want to move units, if they come out and they announce a $100 price cut for the PS5 at the end of this year, and they actually can sell, even if it's just digital only, a PS5 Pro for $500, I think they would. I think that would kill. I think that would kill. I think that they would see, a massive, massive increase in their sales. But again, Sony has kind of warned against this to their shareholders, basically saying it's not really feasible right now for them to cut the price of the PS5. And we know that Sony doesn't really want to sell the PS5 at a big loss or a loss at all. If they at the very least, they probably want to break even, but they would probably prefer to make a little profit on every PS5 sale. And so, again, I really think, here's what I think it also comes down to. I think it comes down to the type of presentations that Sony has this year. For example, when they do their next showcase, how exciting is that showcase really going to be? Is it going to disappoint? Is it going to underwhelm? Or is it going to shock everybody? Is it going to leave everybody feeling hyped and excited and saying, yes, PlayStation's back, like they're doing it again? Because if they do that, if they actually generate a massive amount of excitement from their showcase, whether they do one or multiple, that will, I think, have, a really good effect on their sales and probably make them feel like, okay, we probably don't have to worry about price cuts right now. But we don't know, right? These are all things we don't know. What we do know is the PS5 Pro is coming. We do know what the specs of this console are. We do know, generally speaking, what it's going to do for games. There's probably a couple things we're not, I don't say not expecting it to do, but there's a couple things that I think the PS5 Pro is going to do for games that once Sony shows us, like once they come out and say, check this out, look at this, look at Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, you can't believe your eyes, right? You can't believe what you're seeing. Oh my God, look at how shiny Ghost of Tsushima is. Yeah, that's running on a PS5 Pro. Stuff like that is going to sell the PS5 Pro, and it's going to sell it pretty good. When it comes to third-party developers, I really wonder, I really wonder how much they're going to support it. And based off of what we know about the PS5 Pro, and this is the last thing I'll say before I read these super chats from you guys, based off of the leaked documentation for the PS5 Pro, Sony basically made it as easy as they possibly could. There's been some conversation around the PS5 Pro, like, is Sony making it more difficult for, developers? Are they going to stress them out because they have another console that they have to optimize for? I mean, of course, the developers are going to have to consider the PS5 Pro, especially AAA game devs, right? Like, they're going to have to do something for it. But the good news is that this documentation basically was like, guys, you're really not going to have to. Like, if you can do as much as you want, like if you want to optimize the shit out of your game for the PS5 Pro, go ahead. You'll get way more out of it than what we're showing you here on this piece of paper, on this document we're giving you. And that's the important thing to understand, is that it's up to the developers. If the developers really want to take advantage of the PS5 Pro, they'll be able to go very far with it, just like we see with the PS5 right now. But Sony also understands that most third-party developers are stressed out enough with multi-platform development, and Sony knows that they don't want to make it any harder. Mark Cerny knows they don't want to make it any harder. And so that is, to me, a very reassuring thing about the PS5 Pro, and I think that's what's going to surprise people, is that right now, and this is the next thing we're going to talk about, we might be hearing about some developers questioning, what is the point of this console? But the beauty of that is, here's what developers are not saying. We don't want to develop for this console. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be problematic. This is why, and not to like turn it into a console war thing, but this is why when Xbox announced the Series S, there were developers that same day that announcement happened of, here's the Xbox Series S, here's the specifications, where you saw developers that very day, even with the rumors, even when there was rumors of a Series S, you saw developers basically saying, this could be a nightmare. If not a nightmare, this could make things much more difficult and stressful. And of course, there was a certain group of fans that were like, no, you're wrong. And people like myself and others were like, dude, these are developers saying this. Now, granted, there have been other developers that came to its defense saying it's actually not that bad, it's fine. But I think it's safe to say at this point in time that, again, there's reports coming out that developers are even questioning whether they should even bring their game to Xbox, that it requires a significant amount of effort to optimize for the Series S. The PS5 Pro is the opposite. The PS5 Pro is the literal opposite of the Series S, where it's, here's your game. Let's take a future game. Let's say like the next, because I think it was confirmed that Respawn's making another Jedi game, right? Because we saw Jedi Survivor. I don't know why this is the first game that's coming to mind. Maybe somebody can give me a better game that's coming out. But let's just take the next Jedi game, okay? They're going to make this game for the PS5, obviously, and they're going to optimize it as best they can for it. All they're going to have to do for the PS, assuming that they're like stressed out, or yeah, maybe we could like do Dead Space 2 remake, right? They're going to be stressed out about it because actually that makes more sense. We'll go with Star Wars Outlaws. They're going to be stressed out about it because it's like we're developing this massive AAA game. We have to optimize it for all these different systems. So it's already difficult enough. And then there's the PS5 Pro. Literally, all they're going to have to do for the PS5 Pro is basically just say, okay, we have a bunch of extra GPU power. Let's just brute force more. Let's just literally turn up the resolution. Assuming the game already has a performance mode. Right? That's it. That's all they have to do. But if they want to do more than that, they can say, you know what? Let's try this PSSR technology and see how that works. If they want to use it. If the PSSR technology is easy to use, maybe they'll use it. And then they'll be like, oh, we actually still have way more room. Let's just turn up the ray tracing. It's as simple as that. They don't have to worry about dropping things so low that it could break the game. It's the exact opposite. They also don't have to worry about completely redoing assets or anything like that. It's going to be super easy and super simple. And that to me is very reassuring, because if Sony came out with some kind of complex, beast of a console but like developers were coming out here being like, this is going to be a nightmare to develop for, I'd be like, Sony, you're making a big mistake. We have Waleed is now a game cat, specifically a white tiger, saying PlayStation Portal instead of a standalone handheld was smart. Cloud on the Portal in the future can be amazing. VR2 as an accessory is a smart business decision. It enables it to exist at low budget, will pay off later. I think I half agree with both of your points here. When it comes to the PS Portal, I agree that was probably a safer bet for Sony to be able to create like a really cheap, cost-effective experiment, I guess you could say. And yes, it could be great for cloud gaming in the future if that's something Sony wants to do. But I also, again, there's also that part of me that's like, but no matter what, Sony's going to have to do a dedicated handheld in the future. They just can't walk away from that market any longer. So I kind of half agree with you there. When it comes to VR, too, you're saying as an accessory, it's a smart decision. It enables it to exist at a low budget. Will pay off later. Again, I half agree with you because from the business side of it, yes, it is a smart business decision because it being an accessory means that, hey, if it doesn't do well, like you're saying, they can keep that as low budget as they want and say, you can't blame us. It's just an accessory. What do you expect? Right? To whereas if they treated it like a whole new platform that you could get beyond the PS5, yeah, that would be problematic if they did that. And then it really just started to flounder because it would be like, all right, that's exactly what happened with the Vita. And so if anything, the reason why PSVR 2 is treated very much as an accessory and not a platform, although that might change since it's apparently going to come to PC. The Vita is probably why. So Waleed, thank you for that super chat, buddy. We have Cobb Sanity saying, MBG, do you think Death Stranding 2 that we saw months ago was running on the PS5 Pro? I don't think so. I mean, it's crazy because that game looks mind-blowing. It is, I mean, again, sometimes I come across the screenshots. I mean, a lot of that trailer was close-ups of characters, conversations, and we already know, of course, this is Kojima Productions. The character models in Death Stranding 2 are going to look phenomenal. The graphics are going to be top tier, but it was specifically the shots in that trailer that show the world and Sam traversing that world. And I still can't believe what we were looking at. I'm like, this looks, I was just like kind of looking around like, is anybody else seeing this shit? This looks unbelievable. And it says it was, I think it says it was captured on PS5. Could it have been on a Pro? I don't know. I mean, the next time we see Death Stranding 2 will likely be after the Pro is announced. So, I mean, it's possible. They could have had the dev kits. They could have already kind of been tapping into it. I firmly believe that Kojima Productions would be one of the first AAA studios to try to take advantage of this PSSR technology. Again, Hideo Kojima and Mark Cerny are actually friends. Like, they're friends. So this is the technology that Mark Cerny's developing. If anything, he probably gave it to Kojima first. Be like, hey, Kojima, I'd be honored if you could be the first to try out this new upscaling technology me and my engineering team have created. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Cobb Sanity, is I wouldn't be at all surprised if what we saw was actually running on the PS5 Pro. We just don't know it yet, because it looked unreal. Like, and that's exactly what I'm talking about right there, dude. Is if this is what we are seeing, on the PS5, what the hell is Death Stranding 2 going to look like on the PS5 Pro? And we have Michael Cintron coming in out of nowhere. Michael Cintron dropping a 20 bomb on this community, gifting out 20 memberships. Michael Cintron's doing some heavy lifting for this community today, and he crushes the goal.
Holy shit.
I need to see some W's flowing in the chat for Michael Cintron, bro. Corey dropped the 10. Let me see where we're at. Alexander dropped 1, Corey dropped a 10, and then Michael drops a 20. That brings us up to 31 members. You're saying reps. If we hit 50, you will be getting reps, okay? If we hit 50, we still got plenty of time. you will be getting reps. But what this does ensure is that later on in the stream, we're going to bring Boss in. We're going to hang out with Boss, and we're going to give him some snacks. So, Michael, thank you for making that happen, man. And also going to give you...
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So let me update this member goal. And yeah, everybody who was just gifted a membership, welcome to what I am now calling the MBG Army. I decided to call it that because that's pretty much what you guys have been calling it. I think we've been calling it that since last year. And I'm like, yeah, the muscle-bound gaming army. I don't know how many of you are actually muscle-bound, but it's okay. You're still welcome. Just encouragement, just a little bit of encouragement. Do some weightlifting. You do some light weightlifting. Doesn't have to be anything too intense. Do any kind of exercise. That's what it's encouraging. All right, so we're now sitting. Oh, I don't know why that broke. Sorry. Give me just a moment here. I don't know why this isn't working. Okay, we should be good now. There we go. All right, so the member goal's updated. We need a hat. We need some merch. I will, yeah, again, I have stuff in the works. Merch will be coming. I don't have an ETA on it, and I'm, it's one of those things where I just want it to be done right, but it will be coming sometime this year. Is there going to be Boss merch? I don't know. You wait and you find out. But it is coming. Is being a member free? No, being a member is not free. It is paid. It's to help support my channel directly because this channel is fan funded. I don't do like sponsorships or anything like that. But we have, again, very generous people here who gift memberships. And so if you receive a membership through a gift, then it's free for 1 month. You get a free month courtesy of whoever is deciding to gift the membership. And one more time before I continue on here, anybody who was just gifted a membership, you are now going to be able to access the members lounge that we're going to be doing after this stream, okay? But yeah, click Michael Cintron's icon up top on the chat or Corey Landiga's icon and make sure you allow yourself to receive membership gifts. You have to opt in. Matthew says, New Zealand here. Happy Easter. Yeah, Easter's right around the corner. But Cobb Sanity, final word on your super chat here. If Death Stranding 2 is not running on the PS5 Pro, what we saw of it already, then we are seeing, in my opinion, not the beginnings. I think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Demon Souls were the beginnings of like, here's what this console can do, but we're still not there yet. Death Stranding 2, if that was captured on a base PS5, now we are seeing, okay, now they're really honing in on what the PS5 can actually do. Because again, I just want to encourage anybody who hasn't seen that Death Stranding trailer or hasn't watched it in a while, go back and specifically skip to the parts where it shows zoomed out shots of gameplay of Sam traversing the world. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So I don't mean to, I'm not trying to over-exaggerate. It's just I really think that Kojima is going to be the first one with Decima. We saw what Horizon Forbidden West looks like on the PS5 as a cross-gen, or even with the DLC that came out, which was PS5 only. Decima engine looks insane. Kojima, I think, is getting ready to ramp it up a notch. We have Colt Hunter using his milestone chat to simply say, okay. Okay, Colt Hunter, thank you for that. Mark Tech with a super chat says, Death Stranding 2 will look like that on the PS5 Pro, but at 60 FPS. Yeah. I think you're correct. I think we are going to see... when Death Stranding 2 comes out, because I think what we saw, if it was on the base PS5, it was obviously at 30 FPS. That's the fidelity mode on the PS5. But there will likely be a performance mode for Death Stranding 2 on the base PS5 where you can run it at 60, but it's going to look like the fidelity is going to be significantly reduced. It's exactly right, Mark. That's what the PS5 Pro is going to do. It's going to take games like Death Stranding 2 and say, you see how amazing this game looks like and how it looks in fidelity mode? You can get that basically. Fidelity performance mode is essentially what it's going to do. And I can't wait, man, because that sounds awesome. Death Stranding 2 or Death Stranding is a GPU heavy game. I'm assuming it is. If I'm not mistaken, Death Stranding Director's Cut runs at 60 FPS on the PS5, right? Can somebody confirm this for me? The one says yes. Jakey Steve says 120. Does it go up to 120? I don't remember. Yeah, I would assume at minimum it can run at 60. It probably still looks pretty good too. So yeah, that would confirm it. That would confirm that the engine is able to, scale to 60 on the PS5. Well, then again, yeah, it's the Decim engine, of course. Duh. I don't know why that didn't click a moment ago. Yeah, it's a Decim engine. So yeah, if any game is going to be able to show, like, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the main games we see shown off on the PS5 Pro, like one of the first games, is Death Stranding 2. Because if there's any game that's using an engine that's going to be able to really do some crazy stuff on the Pro, it's going to be the Decim engine with Death Stranding 2. But I want to move on to the second part of this conversation about the PS5 Pro. And this is not so much about the specifications are still going to be part of the conversation, but this is more about what developers are reportedly saying about the PS5 Pro. Again, we covered this, in yesterday's video, but I want to talk about it more in depth here. And before we go over this article and report from WCCF Tech, guys, do me a favor. We are sitting at 132 likes. Please take a moment of your time, hit that like button. It really helps the streams out. Lets me know you guys enjoy the content. We could easily crush 150 likes right now. Maybe we can get up to 175. I'd really appreciate that. The PlayStation 5 Pro has no reason for happening, as some developers feel they still have to make the most of the base model. As reported by GamesIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring in a recent podcast, PlayStation 5 users will upgrade to a new system, but some developers told him during GDC 2024 that they don't feel the need for it, as they have to make the most out of the base model. Additionally, some companies feel the mid-gen refresh isn't going to grow the market significantly, as it feels like the current generation has yet to start, rendering the need for a mid-gen refresh null. These are definitely interesting statements considering how many PS5 games struggle to hit 60 frames per second in performance mode with recent visual quality. It says while the PlayStation 5 Pro won't offer a bigger jump in CPU performance, likely to allow easier backward compatibility with the PlayStation 6, which is actually something I didn't talk to you guys about, by the way. People who are more familiar with the engineering side of Sony have actually come out and said that the main driving reason why this CPU in the PS5 Pro is going to be pretty much exactly the same is actually for backward compatibility reasons with the PlayStation 6. Because apparently Sony has a very specific and kind of complicated way of handling backwards compatibility, and the CPU plays like a major role in that. And so, yeah, I forgot to mention that, and this article brought that up. But it says the mid-gen system is rumored to offer a significant uplift in rendering and ray tracing performance. Additionally, the console will support PSSR, and the brand new upscaler will eventually being the keyword, support 8K resolutions. Now, this is what I want to talk to you guys about. The idea of developers at GDC talking to Christopher Dring and saying don't really see the need for a PS5 Pro. We haven't really tapped into the base PS5 yet. I find this a little bit strange. Cuddy Can't Hang, a member for 10 months, says, what are the chances a surprise new first-party game launches with the PS5 Pro as a bundle? Well, it depends on what you mean when you say a new first-party game. Are you talking about a major AAA title, like I guess what we would consider like a banger, right? Like a AAA banger? Or are you just talking about anything from any PlayStation studio? Because if you're talking about a major AAA banger, if that, Cuddy, you're saying that is what you're talking about, I'm going to say the chances are very, very low. And I don't mean to be such a buzzkill. I just think I'm being realistic in that Sony already told their shareholders that they don't really have any major franchise games coming. Now, I know what you're thinking, Cuddy and many others. I know what you're thinking, but what about new IP? And I hear you. I hear you. But it's not time yet. These there's no new IP in development at PlayStation Studios that will be ready to launch this year. AAA IP, that is. That's, is Ben Studios' game going to be ready? No. Is Santa Monica's game going to be ready? No. Is Naughty Dog's game going to be ready? No. Is Blue Point's game going to be ready? Probably not. I'm going to say no. Housemarque's new IP, not ready. Well, okay, yeah. Concord, yes. But I guess I speak for a lot of people when I say I don't think Concord is like the game that comes to people's mind. Could we get a Concord bundle? Maybe, yeah. And yeah, to be fair, Concord is a new AAA IP. It's very different. It's just very different than, I guess, what we would normally expect. And so I'm going to say, here's what you can expect with the PS5 Pro. I think we will get a new first-party game, and I think it's going to be Astro. I think in the same way that Astro's Playroom launched with the PS5 Pro, the PS5, to show off, hey, here's what the PS5 can do, here's what the DualSense can do. I think it makes perfect sense for Sony to come out and be like, here's the second Astro game. However, I think the difference is that the new Astro game is not going to be free. It's going to be a full game that you pay for, but it's going to be super optimized for the PS5 Pro. And I know that sounds silly, like, wait, they're going to use Astro to show off how good the PS5 Pro can run? Maybe. It'll just be one of many games. But I think that will be like here's Team Asobi, a first-party studio, here's one of our first-party mascots, and here's a game that's launching with this new console that we're releasing. And it'll be on PS5 as well, and maybe even PSVR 2. You don't think it will sell millions? Probably not. No. I mean, it could surprise everybody. I do want to say, if you played Astro's Playroom, phenomenal game, man. Phenomenal game. Like, it's up there with, I think, some of the best. I don't really play platformers, but, from what people have told me who do play a lot of platformers and who do play like a lot of Nintendo games, are like, dude, Astro's Playroom is like top tier. It's like Sony kind of showing that they can kind of do a little bit of Nintendo over here, just a little bit. And I think that's something Sony should try to lean into. And I think like Astro could be Sony's own, kind of, just more, I don't want to say like kid friendly, but just, just having a basic mascot that can appeal universally, and having a game that can appeal more universally to everybody of all ages, right? And I think that them leaning into Astro would be a good idea, because I don't know, will it sell millions? I think it could sell a couple million. Could it be a 10 million seller? A 12 million seller? I mean, I think one day it could. Maybe, yeah. If they really focused up on it. Yeah, I think it could be. But I don't think it's there yet. And so, Cuddy, I guess I'm trying to say I would expect something like that at the launch of the PS5 Pro. I would expect something like Until Dawn remake or remaster to be like PS5 Pro optimized. I would expect to see Sony leveraging games that have already come out and kind of, hyping them up on the Pro. Like, here's what Horizon Forbidden West looks like on the Pro. Here's what Spider-Man 2, like they'll probably do a big push for Spider-Man 2. Check out PS5 Pro enhanced Spider-Man 2. It's going to look nuts. But I think it's also going to be, the question I have is like, how many second and third party deals does Sony currently have that we don't know about yet that could also be leveraged to show off the PS5 Pro? If it's true, listen, again, I know people want there to be like a major launch title, but I don't think Sony needs that. I would love for them to have that, but I don't think they actually need that. I think what Sony really needs is to have some games there, right? Even if it is like an Astro game and Until Dawn. But what they really need is to show those big games and to basically say, like, look, we're launching the PS5 Pro. Ghost of Tsushima 2 is not going to come out alongside it, but it's coming out like maybe like in the next year or two. And it's going to be fully optimized for it. I'm telling you, I think stuff like that will, I know how this stuff works. I've been following gaming long enough. Trust me. All Sony has to do, and I'm not saying this isn't like, in an arrogant way or, to make it sound like Sony's perfect or anything, or they don't have to do anything. I'm just saying this is the reality of the market. You can judge the market how you feel. But the reality is all Sony has to do is come out and say, here's Ghost of Tsushima 2. By the way, that's running on the PS5 Pro. And it's over. It's over. Like, the PS5 Pro is going to sell out and everybody's hyped for Sony again. Is that all Sony's going to do? No. I'm just pointing out that, like, this stuff works, I think, differently than the way people kind of construct it in their mind. Where I think in our minds, sometimes we think Sony's got to do this, and that, and only then will people be excited. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It actually, take away like 3 of those things, they only have to do half of those things. And if they do half those things, people are going to be fucking thrilled. This has been proven time and time again because it's just the way it works, It's easy, I think, for people to get antsy and maybe frustrated and have these kind of negative feelings towards Sony when they go so long without announcing new first-party games. But in the same way that it's so easy for those people's emotions to become so negative so quickly, it's very easy for their emotions to become very positive very quickly as well. Does that make sense? To whereas most people, I don't know if it's most people, but more neutral people, right? More neutral, who are like, I guess you could say, have more stability with this type of stuff. For example, the person that has been saying for the past 2 years and is still saying right now, just give them time. Just be patient. They'll show it when they're ready. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy what you have now. That person is also going to be excited when Sony shows the new stuff, but they're not going to be the person losing their minds. The person that's going to be losing their mind is the person that's been over here being like, Sony, where the fuck is your games? What are you doing? You're dropping, you're dropping the ball here. That's how these things work, man. Carl G says, I'm getting frustrated really waiting and waiting. And yeah, I mean, trust me, I pay attention to this stuff closer than 99.9% of people. I'm as eager as anybody else to see Sony come out and hit the ground running and announce some new first-party games. This is something I've been talking about for a long time now, but I also do understand ultimately that you cannot rush it. You just can't. I think some of the mistakes that Sony has made with live service recently has made it worse, but what I will say is that I still have the same exact confidence in Sony that I did at the start of the PS5 generation when it comes to their games. I just know that right now, most people don't feel that because we haven't seen the games. But I do have that same confidence where dude, like when we see Sucker Punch announce the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, it's gonna fucking blow people away. Like, hands down. Like, you're not gonna. Sony knows how to do it better than most. And I don't mean that again in like a fanboyish way. I just think when they are ready to generate the excitement, like when they're ready to do that, they know how to do it. Although I will say, the next showcase we get is going to be the first showcase since the PS5 generation started without Jim Ryan at the helm. So I do just wonder how much different, for better or for worse, it could be. I think after last year, everybody's assuming it will be for better. 30th anniversary show, that'd be incredible. That'd be incredible. I would love to see that. You're saying, but with a Pro, you wouldn't need to put it into 1440p for FF7 Rebirth to look good. Exactly. What Square could do with the PS5 Pro and FF7 Rebirth is they could run FF7 Rebirth at an internal resolution in performance mode at 1080p, use PSSR to upscale it probably to 4K. Truthfully, they could probably get that game to scale to 4K or very close to it, and have it run at 60. And then they could probably throw in some ray tracing at that point. If they were to use PSSR on FF7 Rebirth, they would probably have enough overhead to use some ray tracing. Again, what am I describing? I'm describing fidelity mode running at 60 FPS. That's what I'm describing. Although I don't think does Rebirth actually does it use ray tracing at all? But yeah, the Pro should allow for stuff like that to happen. But it comes down to if Square's going to do that. You would hope they would, right? I mean, it's a PS5 exclusive, so if any game should take the extra time to optimize, it would be that. Yeah, exactly. FF16 would hit 60 FPS. Exactly. Like, honestly, I would love to see without any updates or any optimization whatsoever, I would love to see what a PS5 Pro does for FF16. Because that game really struggled to hit 60 consistently. Like, it was not good. Their performance mode was not good in that game most of the time. And I would just love to know, could the PS5 Pro just literally brute force that game to 60 and keep it there? Or beyond 60, maybe, if the frame rate is uncapped. But anyway, I do want to make sure I get back to the topic. I mean, we've stayed within the topic range, but I want to specifically talk about this idea that developers are feeling confused or like unsure of like what is the point of the PS5 Pro? What is Sony doing with the PS5 Pro? Why are they putting this out? And the biggest reason, according to GamesIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring, is because developers are saying we haven't even tapped into the PS5's power yet. My question, in all seriousness, without trying to be rude about it, is then what have you been doing this whole time? Serious question. These developers who are saying that we haven't even been able to actually tap into the PS5, then what have you been doing? We're going to be 4 years into this generation. That's almost half a decade. What have you been doing? And I think that's a fair question to ask. And look, I'm not trying to say that in a snarky way. It's a genuine question. A serious question, like, because maybe there is an answer to that. Maybe their answer is we had to change our engines. We had to make, I don't know, so maybe Maybe it's because of development timelines taking too long. But even if that's the case, it's like, here's the thing. Like I said earlier, I'm not concerned about this report that this is what developers are saying about the PS5 Pro. And the reason for it is because the PS5 Pro is going to be inconsequential to them, ultimately. There's a reason why we're not hearing developers out of GDC saying, I'm worried about the PS5 Pro. I'm stressed about this console. I'm annoyed at this console. All they're saying, honestly, it sounds like exactly what a lot of consumers are saying is, but why? And again, we haven't seen Mark Cerny do his presentation. Mark Cerny, I'm assuming we're going to hear from the guy this year. He's going to be the one to come out and say, here's why. And he's not just going to be speaking to us, the consumer. He's going to be speaking to the developer. And we have Titus coming in. Titus is keeping the membership train rolling along today. Titus, my friend, thank you so much for dropping a 5-bomb on this community, guys. I want to see some W's flowing in the chat for our good friend Titus. He's coming in, and he's bringing us up to 36 members on the day. So we are getting ever closer to hitting the second goal. Reminder, if we hit the second goal, if we hit 50 members at the end of the stream, I will be giving you guys some reps. I think I'm like fully healed and fully recovered now. I actually worked out yesterday. Got a pretty good workout in too. Actually feeling it today. Feeling it in the chest and shoulders a bit. But yeah, we hit that 50 mark. We'll be doing some reps. But either way, we'll be getting Boston here a little bit later. And that's true. That's true. You're saying Mark Cerny doesn't make anything without asking or talking to the studios first. So who was asked about the PS5 Pro? Yeah, that's true. Oh, and by the way, Titus.
It's dangerous to rely on teraflops as an absolute indicator of performance.
There you go. Perfect timing. 100 subs and MBG eats cat food with boss. Oh man, that sounds disgusting. No way. Maybe it could go the other way around where I eat some kind of food that I know boss also likes to eat and I share with him or something. My cats like chicken. My cats are very, very, very picky about like actual human food, but they do like chicken usually if it's like plain. So maybe we could do that one day. Give boss a little bit of chicken. But that's a great point. You're saying how anytime Mark Cerny is working on a new PlayStation, whether it be the PS4, the PS4 Pro, the PS5, or the PS5 Pro, he's consulting with developers. Here's what I think. I think Mark Cerny likely consulted with the first-party developers at PlayStation, first and foremost, because it makes the most sense. You know, they're the ones doing the most with this console. So it makes sense. You know, he works for PlayStation, he works for Sony. Go talk to the Sony devs first. Then I think he started talking to the second and third party devs. But I think that there are also a lot of devs that never did get to talk with Mark Cerny. And those could be the devs we're hearing from right now. And we have Hellbound 1981, another legend, coming in, dropping another 5 membership gifts for you guys. Love to see it. Hellbound, thank you so much, my friend, for keeping this membership train rolling. You just brought us up to 41 on the day. What does it say here? 35. We're actually at 41. So we are now just 9 away from hitting the second goal. Thank you so much for that, Hellbound. I appreciate all the support you and everybody else continue to show myself as well as the community. Let's see here, Hellbound. What soundbite should I give you? What soundbite? I feel like I gotta try to get a soundbite of not Boss, but Leia meowing, because Leia is very talkative and she's very loud. I could easily get her as a soundbite. Eventually, I will. So for now, Hellbound.
Thank you.
I'll give you thank you, and how about that's for you, Hellbound. Crazy Arnold. Hellbound's going crazy because I know he's going. That's Boss, dude. That sound you just heard, that's Boss outside my door. He's not outside the door anymore, but that's him when he's trying to get in. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted now. You think Elden Ring will actually run at 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro? I would think so. I would think so, right? Like, I want to know when we're going to see the PS5 exclusive From Software game. You know that's coming. You know it's coming. And Corey, the Legend Landiga, takes it home. He comes in again and drops another 10 memberships for you guys. Corey, the Legend, he's doing it. He's doing some heavy lifting today, folks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You love to see it. Corey kept us waiting. And just like that, we cross the 50 mark. Corey, thank you so much, man. I'm going to update this goal, and now I owe you guys some reps with some metal. I did promise Corey that if we hit the goal of 50 today, I'd be playing some metal, get some reps in. Good stuff, bro. All right. So now we're sitting at 51 members. You guys are crushing it today. Thank you once again for all of the support. And Jake Skew 28 with the super sticker saying, hey, you. Hello, Jake. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for being here. And guys, one more time as we continue our conversation today, hit that like button. We're sitting at 166 likes. You guys are killing it today. Seriously. Wild Wolf is asking, how is Ronin, MBG? I'm loving it. And I mean that sincerely. It's funny and also kind of sad. I've seen people basically say to me that you only like it because you're a PlayStation fan and it's a PlayStation exclusive. And I just think that's crazy where it's like, I wonder where these people were when I was like making it clear that I don't like a game like Forspoken. That's a PS5 exclusive, but I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't for me. Where were these people when I was talking about something like Destruction All-Stars? You know? They ignore that and they just assume that I'll just love everything that is a PlayStation console exclusive, but that's not how it goes. Anybody who has been following me for a little while, you'll know that the day that Rise of the Ronin was announced, I was hyped for it because I was like, that looks really good to me. And I'm just really pleased to report, and I don't mean to be so redundant, but since I was asked in the chat, I'm pleased to report that, yes, this game is surpassing my expectations. It's not perfect. It has its flaws. It's not Ghost of Tsushima, but it's something different. It's very inspired by Ghost of Tsushima, but this is the first time I am actually playing a Team Ninja game. Like I think I played the Wolong demo a while ago, but I know I played the Neo 2 demo. And so I kind of had a general sense of like Team Ninja, but also not really at the same time. And as I'm playing this game, as I'm getting further, I'm like, there's something unique about this game. There's a charm to it. That's the word that keeps coming to me to describe Rise of the Ronin. There's some kind of charm to it that I'm like, this is kind of it's very similar in a lot of ways to many other games I played, and it is doing a lot of stuff that would be considered generic, but there are aspects to it that I'm like, I don't think I've ever played something like this necessarily. The combat is handled very well. And yeah, I don't want to go on too long about it because I don't want it to be like a whole timestamp thing for Devil Shooter. We're just suddenly in the middle of my stream. Let me do another review of Rise of the Ronin. To answer your question, I'm enjoying it very much. It's good. I highly recommend it. Do I like Japanese games in particular? It's interesting because like I've always liked Japanese developed games. It's just like growing up, I didn't realize some of my favorite, like when I was growing up playing Metal Gear Solid, I like didn't realize like, oh yeah, it's a Japanese developed game. You know, it's my favorite game series of all time. Japanese developed. And Dark Souls, you know, I remember playing Dark Souls 1 being like, this is literally one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life. I'll never forget this game. Like, this is now one of my all-time favorites. And I'm like, oh, that's another Japanese developed game. And yeah, I also have discovered that I like games set in Japan. People have told me, like, you got to try playing Yakuza and stuff like that. And maybe one day I will. But over time, I tried Final Fantasy and I liked it. And it's funny because, like, Ghost of Tsushima is not a Japanese developed game. It's a Western developed game by Sucker Punch, but it's based in Japan. And that's something that I'm realizing I like the story of Rise of the Ronin a lot because it is based in Japanese history. And I actually am like, wow, this is super interesting. Like, the idea of playing through this certain time period. And I feel like I'm actually learning quite a bit about Japan's history with the shogunate and the Western influence. And it's very fascinating. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that over the years and over time, I just naturally find myself gravitating more towards certain Japanese games and Japanese culture as well. I find Japanese culture very fascinating, very interesting, and very appealing, except Sekiro. So I'm telling you, relax. Sekiro is going to come at some point. At some point, it will. But yeah, I saw somebody in the chat say that there's just something about Japanese developed games, like they just have a certain, it's almost like you can't really put it into words, but almost like a certain feel. There's just something there where you can, like, sometimes kind of tell, like, I feel like this is a Japanese developed game, you know? I don't know what it is. Maybe it is the culture. It could be that the culture kind of comes through the games, even if the games are very different, right? Like, from, like, they have nothing to do with Japan or anything. Like, it just kind of comes through. And I guess I guess the same could be said for almost all games, developed in different regions and different territories and areas by different people. But yeah, man, it's so funny to me to think that most of my favorite games of all time are Japanese developed. And the reason why that's funny to me is because I just never knew that, like, growing up, or I never thought about it. And I'm like, oh, there is a commonality here. It's interesting too, though, because while I'm playing Rise of the Ronin, and I guess this is going to have to be a timestamp for Devil Shooter. While I'm playing Rise of the Ronin, I can see Sony's influence on this game. What I mean is XDev. We know that XDev, that's a studio, or it's not like a dedicated studio, but it's like a dedicated team of PlayStation developers and engineers that are meant to help with the development and aid in the development of certain games for that are exclusive, and Rise of the Ronin is one of them. XDev helped develop Rise of the Ronin, and I can absolutely feel that influence. Where I'm like, I can almost identify the things in this game where Sony basically came up to Team Ninja and was like, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that, or you should add this. And I can feel that, and it's awesome because it's like I can tell the things that are very unique to Team Ninja, and like just what they do development wise, but I can feel PlayStation's influence on it. And some people don't like that. Some people don't like PlayStation's influence because they feel like it's a bit too streamlined or whatever. But I think it turned out really well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it after we finish this stream with members. So yeah, Jakey Steer saying serious Japanese games are cool. It's the cheesy cringe stuff I cannot hack. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Like, I guess that kind of falls more to like the anime side. I'm the same way. I do struggle with that. And I think like the most I've experienced is probably in like Final Fantasy VII so far, especially in Rebirth. I think in Rebirth they upped it. And it's like, yeah, like that kind of cheesiness, I guess, is not necessarily my cup of tea, but it also doesn't bother me that much. It really depends. Like games that are like full on anime, I can't do it. I'm not into anime. And that's, I guess, kind of where the line is drawn for me. Yeah, people have been telling me forever to play like you're saying Metal Gear's anime as hell. I guess you're right, but the presentation isn't. Right? Like I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Where Metal Gear, there's a lot of stuff in there that is very like, dude. That's kind of what. Yeah, and I guess that's the charm of it, right? I mean, I'll never forget MGS3 Ocelot literally meowing, and it's like, okay, that's a thing he just did. Like this dead ass serious moment between Snake and Ocelot, about to go at it, about to fight each other. And an Ocelot literally meows like a cat to call his troops in. And I'm like, all right. But you kind of love it. You kind of love it, right? I know. His name is Ocelot after all. Yeah, MGS is heavily influenced by American culture. I think that's what I kind of love about Metal Gear so much, is it's a Japanese developed game that's heavily influenced by American culture. And it just has this very potent blend of both, where Kojima very much understands American culture, but he's also Japanese. And I think that is very much something that makes Metal Gear so unique and allows it to stand out. Because you are, after all, if you play Metal Gear, you are getting a Japanese man's perception of American culture, of the West. And it's in some cases, it's actually very surprising how, like, wow, he gets it. Like, he totally gets it. Yeah, I loved when Kojima said that he views Snake as his avatar. Like, I love that. Like, I'm not surprised, but I feel like I really learned something about Kojima, because it's like, it's just so funny. I think a lot of people look at Kojima, they look up to Hideo Kojima. He's idolized to a certain extent. Meanwhile, Kojima, in his mind, he's like, I see myself as Snake. Like, he's my avatar. Like, I love that. Ronin stream today. I will be doing a Rise of the Ronin members lounge today after this stream. You're saying that's some ego. It's okay though. I don't mind that Kojima has a big ego, because I do feel like with a lot of these very creative type of individuals that are trying to push boundaries, I think it has to be a little bit ego driven. I think that's kind of part of the recipe, so to speak. But I can understand why some people are not into it. We have Sarah Sariladin. I'm sorry if I destroyed your name, buddy. I apologize. You're saying, are you interested in AC Red from Ubisoft? Honestly, no. I've never been into Assassin's Creed, and there's no specific reason for it. I kind of keep up with it just because I follow gaming news. Like, I kind of see, like, oh, here's the new Assassin's Creed, and so, I hear the way people talk about it, like how different the games are, how some of the games are like way too bloated and too big. Others are, like Ubisoft trying to go back to the roots, and I just never got into it. And I'll be honest, it just feels like I don't plan to get into it. You know what I mean? It's very much one of these things where I could love it if I were to play it, but there's just been nothing about Assassin's Creed that has made me go, I want to go play that. I don't know why. Like, it's not offensive to me. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's one of these strange scenarios where it's like one of the most popular games in the world, and I just haven't played it for some reason. Yeah, that's the general sentiment I get, though. Or I see online, you're saying the old AC games were the best. I feel like I see a lot of people saying that, and I don't know the latest Assassin's Creed. I don't even remember what it was called. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. You're saying, yeah, that I didn't know. AC Red it's in a Japanese setting. Okay. Yeah, that might interest me. That sounds pretty interesting to me. We were just talking about that, That one I might pay closer attention to. But I don't know, it reminds me of Far Cry. Like, I was never into Far Cry until I don't know, Actually, now that I think about it, my relationship with Far Cry is very strange. I never played a Far Cry game until I think Far Cry 4, and I enjoyed it. And then I played Far Cry 5, and then I just kind of fell off. I didn't play Far Cry 6, and it just hasn't like been in. And I never went back to play Far Cry 3. My relationship with Ubisoft games, now that I'm thinking about it, is kind of strange, to be honest. It's very much like on and off. But if I do decide to play Assassin's Creed, I'll definitely let you know. You don't like Ubisoft, Hanzo? You know what game, before I move on, I'm really torn about? Star Wars Outlaws. Have you guys seen this? It's getting rated in all these different territories. Apparently Star Wars Outlaws, it seems like it's going to be coming out kind of soon, like sometime this year. Maybe not even at the end of the year, maybe like this fall maybe. And I remember watching the gameplay of Star Wars Outlaws. I'm like, this does look really good. It like basically looks like Star Wars GTA. But I am so disillusioned with Star Wars that it, like, to me, Star Wars is basically tainted. And I don't know. It's one of these things where, I guess the best way to explain it is, I feel weird in a way if I were to pick and choose with Star Wars. And I guess it feels weird because it seems like that is kind of what Disney turned it into. You know, where it's like Disney decided to do so much with Star Wars, like so much, and a lot of it is shit, that it just kind of ultimately made me feel like this is too much. I just want nothing to do with it anymore. But then it kind of makes me feel weird. It's like, but you're doing this one thing. It's like, I'm kind of interested, you know? I don't know if that's making any sense. Did I play Survivor? I did start playing it, and then I kind of fell off. I don't remember why, but I know I didn't finish it. That I do know. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. You're saying like Star Wars is kind of meh. I used to like Star Wars a lot more, and I want to like it more, but I just feel like I struggle to actually like it more now these days. But I see that game, and I'm like, I'll probably play Outlaws. I gotta admit, like if the game actually turns out the way that gameplay demo, as long like if Ubisoft didn't pull a Ubisoft on us, and that's actually indicative of how the game's actually going to play, I will probably play it because it did look pretty good. I didn't finish Fallen Order. No, I did finish Fallen Order. I played Star Wars Fallen Order. I finished that. And I liked it, and I have to at some point finish Jedi Survivor. But I know that they confirmed they're making a third one, so. We have Titus with a super chat as well. He says, hey, MBG, will you do reviews of games you play like you did in the past? It was great. You showed your review of Days Gone on a stream a few days ago. Yeah, that was part of the Members Lounge. Great question, Titus. The answer is yes. I plan to. I can't like commit to anything. Like, here's how many games I'm going to review. Here's how often I'm going to review them. But yeah, I was listening to that, and it kind of got me back in that mode again where I'm like, man, I kind of miss doing that. And so be on the lookout for that. I don't know how well my reviews are going to do, because if there's one thing that will be true with my reviews of games is they will come later, because I don't get early access to games. I don't try to get early access to games. So I get the games the same day as everybody else. And I usually take my time with games as well. But yes, I would like to start doing more reviews. I just kind of miss doing them. So hopefully you look forward to that, Titus. How's MBG Plus doing? Not good, unfortunately. Right now, MBG Plus is on hiatus, right? Like I'm putting MBG Plus in the background because I I don't know that I have the bandwidth to keep up with it in the way that is required right now. But when I have further updates on what I'm going to do with MBG Plus, I will let you know. I'm not like deleting it or anything. It's just going to chill out for now. It's on ice. Maybe not the best terminology to use though, because the last thing that we heard was on ice was The Last of Us multiplayer, and that did get canceled. So you're saying young MBG was cooking with that Days Gone review? Yeah, I surprised myself listening back. I'm like, damn. I was. We have Perfect Image saying, when I saw Rise of the Ronin, I went with my gut. I love to hear that, Perfect Image. I'm assuming that means you bought it and purchased it. But I love to hear that either way, because I that's what I've been trying to tell people is, in today's day and age with video games, there's so much back and forth conversation, so much heated conversation. And I think sometimes things get so dramatic and so drama filled that I think people stray way too far away from like exactly what you're saying here, where I think at the end of the day, you just got to go with your gut. I think most people know when they see a game if it's something that they're actually going to get some type of enjoyment out of or not. And it doesn't mean don't do your research. It doesn't mean don't look into it. Of course, if you feel like you have to do that, but there's always something to be said with just going with your gut. And I'm in the exact same boat as you, Perfect Image. With Rise of the Ronin, I went with my gut. I saw the reviews and I'm like, I'm not going to argue against them. Like, I'm not going to say this is bullshit. And no, I'm just going to look at them and I'm going to say, okay, I don't really care. And man, am I glad I did, because I'm telling you, man, right now, Rise of the Ronin is the most fun. Rise of the Ronin and Helldivers 2, I think, is these are the two standout games of 2024 for me so far. Helldivers 2 for obvious reasons, some great multiplayer fun with friends that I can't say I was like shocked. I knew I was going to enjoy Helldivers 2, but Rise of the Ronin again, and even more so, more than Rebirth. I mean, Rebirth is interesting because, like, I feel like I can't judge it fully yet. I am enjoying Rebirth. I think I'm enjoying Rise of the Ronin more, though. Truthfully, I think I'm enjoying Rise of the Ronin more right now. And Rebirth, it's just a completely different feel. And the thing that I'm realizing with Rebirth is I need to be in a certain frame of mind to play Final Fantasy games, right? Like, I don't think I was properly prepared for Rebirth going into it. And I think that's kind of obvious with the fact that I've kind of stopped playing it for now in favor of playing Rise of the Ronin. And it's not that I don't want to play Rebirth. It's not that I don't want to complete it. I definitely do. Like, I'm very much interested. It's just realizing that Rebirth is just, I think Josh, I don't know if he's here right now, but Josh Z said this to me in a super chat recently where he was like, well, when you do go back to Rebirth, like once you get past, I forget which chapter he said, but I think it's like past the halfway point in the game and things really start to ramp up. Like, it's best you don't try to juggle multiple things and you just focus on it, because it's going to be a roller coaster and it's going to require a lot of your time and focus. And yeah, that's, I think, kind of the difference right now between me playing Rise of the Ronin versus when I was playing Rebirth a week or two ago, is Rise of the Ronin feels super casual in the sense that, like, I am interested in the story and I like it, but it doesn't feel as imperative, I guess, to like really focus on that, and instead just focus on just go around the open world, do some side stuff, have some fun, fight some dudes, upgrade your equipment, and I guess right now that's just kind of the frame of mind I'm in. But I'll get back to Rebirth, and I'm going to beat it for sure. But yeah, sometimes you just got to go with your gut on this stuff. Space Gambler is saying MBG Fidelity Mode and Rise of the Ronin is unlocked. Your TV has VRR, and you'll be able to get 60 FPS. Really? That I didn't know. That's awesome. We have Ragu Bagu. He says, Is it wrong that I'm annoyed with Robin Reviews? The game is so effing good, MBG. Can't wait for Outlaws, my most anticipated game this year. Robin Reviews, is that... Well, first off, no. I mean, there's nothing wrong with ever being annoyed by somebody's review. It just means that you disagree with that person's opinion. But I don't know, like, who is this that you're talking about, though? Oh, you meant, okay. Yes. I'll never understand why I can't put that stuff together myself. Robin Reviews. What could he mean by Robin? He means Ronin Reviews. I swear, man, sometimes I could just smack myself. That's my fault, Ragu Bagu. I should have understood that. But to answer your question, is it wrong that I'm annoyed with Ronin Reviews? The game is so effing good, MBG. Can't wait for Outlaws, my most anticipated game of the year. No, it's not wrong, because I'm in the same boat. Like, I'm not like so annoyed where it's like, I hate these reviewers. It just, again, it just makes me tune out. It just makes me apathetic towards reviews and review scores, because it's like, yeah, man, I would have thought, and I think what everybody thought, this game's just mid. It's just mid. It's mediocre. It's okay. It's average. And I don't think it is. I don't. And I think anybody who plays this game and puts a good chunk of time into it will realize that some things in this game are a little bit mediocre or mid. Some things when it comes to like the open world. But the game as a whole, in my opinion, is not mid. It's actually very good. I'm not saying it's a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I'm not saying that. Again, this is very reminiscent of a Days Gone situation to me, where reviewers tried to tell me, some reviewers tried to tell me Days Gone is a 5 out of 10. Crackdown 3 got a 5 out of 10. Days Gone got a 5 out of 10. GameSpot gave both of these games a 5 out of 10. Okay? Some other review outlets tried to tell me Days Gone was a 6 out of 10. And Metacritic tried to tell me it's a 7 out of 10. When I played Whoa there. When I played Days Gone, by the time I finished that game and I platinumed it and I put over 100 hours into it, I'm like, dude, this game is a solid 8.5 out of 10. And in some areas, like with the hordes, that's like a 9.5 out of 10 gameplay mechanic. Those hordes were incredibly fun. And I still haven't, I haven't had so much fun with zombie hordes since Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. So that situation, that really made me realize how much of a joke reviews and like journalists and professional reviews actually are. It made me realize how much of a joke Metacritic actually is. Is it nice to celebrate a game you're excited for getting a 91 or 2 on Metacritic? Yeah, of course. Hey, great. That's always awesome. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because these things just don't matter. And I just can't. I just feel like the only reason I actually pay attention to reviews anymore, truthfully, is because it's kind of part of my job here to just, pay attention to the conversations and what's being said and reporting on it and giving my thoughts on it. But yeah, dude, when I saw that Rise of the Ronin was sitting at like 70 something on Metacritic and a lot of reviews sites giving it like a 6 out of 10 and a lot of people talking negatively about it without even playing it, being like, yeah, this game's totally mid, not worth $70. I'm like, I'm going to go with my gut. And everything I've seen of this game looks awesome to me. And the biggest criticism is maybe just the graphics. I'm buying this game day one. And I won't lie to you. See, I will say this too. I won't lie to you. After I saw those reviews, I know that no matter what I tell myself, it did change my feeling going into it. I felt a little bit deflated. I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm not going to enjoy this game as much as I thought. Maybe it's not going to be as good as I thought. And it was the exact opposite. It was, no, I'm enjoying this game more than I anticipated. I am fine. I'm like addicted to this game. Like I can't stop playing it. I want to keep playing it. And I'm loving it. I am, truthfully. And that just made me realize, like, holy shit, man. Sometimes it is okay, I would say, to just say, totally, fuck reviews and fuck what anybody thinks about this game. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to play it, and I'm probably going to love it. And I think most of the time, that's probably the way to go. But yeah, Ragu Bagu, to answer your question, I don't think there's anything wrong with, feeling that way. Like Madam Web, I can't speak to that. I have not seen it. Look, are there extreme circumstances? Yes. Yes, there are. Like if Rise of the Ronin was like a laughing stock and like a 3 out of, if it was like sitting at like a 45 on Metacritic, I might pay attention to that, and like that might be okay. I don't know that I can ignore that, because that's like, holy shit, like that's really bad. What's going on? Like something's really wrong over here. That I think is different from, oh, it's just mid. It's, it's just a bland game that's not worth $70. That to me is the more dangerous territory, where it's like, but what if it is? Like here's my question. And Josh, I'm going to read your super chat. I'm going to ask this last question. How many people thought about buying Rise of the Ronin or supporting it or were interested up until the reviews? That's my question. And then they chose not to. That makes me sad, because I feel like if this was a game that your gut told you would enjoy, your gut probably wasn't wrong. And if you decided to listen to reviews and save your $70, I feel like that might be not a mistake, but my hope is that you'll still play it in the future, and you'll probably realize, damn, I shouldn't have listened to reviews. That's all. Ragu Bagu, you're saying you were almost one of them? Well, I'm just glad. I'm glad to know it's not just me. I even saw on the PlayStation 5 subreddit, I've been seeing multiple posts pop up of people being like, yo, do not sleep on Rise of the Ronin. And people just basically saying, like, this game's actually fun as hell. And I love it. Like, here's what I think. I think the beginning parts of Rise of the Ronin can be a little bit shaky. And I think that kind of scares some people off, where there's a lot that this game kind of throws at you. And I'll admit, like, you guys can be the judge of this, but when I was thinking about the gameplay stream I did, where I was about 5 or 6 hours into the game, and I was thinking about how bad, like, I was playing the game compared to now. Like, now I'm 20 something hours into the game, and I've improved dramatically. Like, I've learned a lot more about the game, and I'm enjoying it more because of that. And I just realized, I think that this game is just a little bit, again, shaky in the beginning. And just once you get past the first couple of hours and really start to get into a groove and once you start to feel the flow of the game, you just sink right into it. Kendall Fire saying, I'm glad you like an MBG, but it's definitely 7 out of 10 for me. And that's fair. I'm not here to say that anybody's wrong if they think it's a 7 out of 10. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, for me, it's definitely more than a 7 out of 10. And that's fine, because I still see people today that are like, yeah, Days Gone to me is a 7 or even a 6 out of 10. I'm like, all right, well, different strokes for different folks. No big deal. Josh Z, thank you for the super chat, man. You're saying FF7 has this really interesting juxtaposition where it can be goofy and instantly turn emotional or serious. I can laugh just as fast as I can cry. It made me aware of mental health importance. Interesting. Yeah, I agree. The game is, I think the game takes it out of me, bro. Like, I've noticed that it's not an easy, and then maybe this sounds silly for some people, but I think I have about like 23 hours into Rebirth so far. So I'm I actually have, I think, about the same amount of time in Ronin as I have in Rebirth. And I noticed every time I went to go play FF7 Rebirth, I feel like I have to prepare my mind. Like I have to go in ready for what I'm about to encounter. And I think that kind of speaks to what you're saying here, Josh, how it does have this juxtaposition where it is all over the place, not in a bad way, but just it is a roller coaster. And that to me is kind of the beauty of it. Yeah, but I am eager to see how the game ends, because I have heard people, without spoiling anything, I've heard people talking about the ending of the game, like vaguely. Basically, like, oh, that's an interesting way that they, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I didn't have anything spoiled, but people just basically saying like that's an interesting choice they made there. And so it kind of does spark my imagination a little bit. But also, did you guys see this? I am going to get to the remainder of the topics that we have to discuss today, because we still have more to discuss. But did you guys see, I think it was a DualShockers article that was talking about Barrett, and I'm paraphrasing, but the article, and it garnered a lot of attention, was basically saying that Final Fantasy games need to do a better job representing black characters and not making them a joke or something like that. And this DualShockers article got, rightfully so, blown up by everybody that were like, what are you talking about? Barrett is an amazing character. Like, Barrett actually is a very deep character with a lot of different qualities and traits that make him one of the most interesting. And you know what the funniest thing to me about it was? Is I laughed when I saw that article, because I'm like, dude, Barrett's my favorite character. If you guys were here listening to me review Final Fantasy VII Remake and playing it, I said so many times, like, dude, I love this character. Like, Barrett, I love all the characters, but Barrett is my favorite. I just think he's such a cool and, like, just, I don't know, he has this personality that I find super entertaining and interesting. And I love anytime he's highlighted in the game. And I'm glad that that article got blown up, because it's like, I really am wondering, like, I'm just really wondering, like, what's wrong with people today, man? You know, where it's like, why is this a thing that's just happening? Are people just bored? Are they just looking to stir the pot? Are they looking to, I mean, obviously they're looking for clicks. And I think that might be the ultimate driving factor here, where everybody's just looking for clicks, because I notice things are very slow right now. And the slower things get, the more ridiculous nonsense starts to come out more frequently, like this, where I'm like, well, if your goal was clicks, you definitely got it. But at what cost? Looking very stupid? Looking like a moron? Looking like you didn't even play the game that you're talking about? Saying Barrett's the heart and soul of the party. Agreed. Dude, Final Fantasy VII would not be what it is without Barrett, period. If you just remove that character from the game, huge loss to the game, huge loss to that entire party of characters. It wouldn't be the same. And I think anybody who's played, like, again, I haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII, but I can at least speak for what I've played of Rebirth and Remake, and I say that with confidence that it wouldn't be the same. Shaking my damn head, man. Games journalists just continue to embarrass themselves, man. And it's sad. Oh. By the way, I'm just going to throw this in here. I think this is the most appropriate time to throw this in here. I'm not going to go on about it, and I'm not going in this direction because I see enough of it, and I'm not trying to. But I just got to ask you guys. Somebody brought this to my attention on Twitter earlier today. And it's another situation, again, where I'm just shaking my head, asking myself, who hires people like this? I got to see if I can find it now. Here we go. So there's this individual on X. They are just named Kelly. And apparently this person, this woman, is the head of marketing for Xbox. And her account is now locked. And she had to post an apology, which is good. You know, I'd rather see somebody, apologize for being stupid or saying something stupid than just double down on it. And, I hope people aren't harassing this individual because that's not necessary either. But it's worth noting that she has a prominent role in the video game industry, the head of marketing for Xbox. It's a pretty significant position. And she put out this post yesterday. Raise your hand if you're not a white man and buy video games. No hate to white dudes. It's just another day in the gaming industry that minorities have to fight to prove they exist. And then she deleted that tweet and she said, I deleted my last tweet because it was poorly worded, lacked context, and didn't accurately reflect how I feel. The gaming industry is incredibly diverse, and the more voices we have creating, watching, and playing games, the better. There's room for everyone. So again, a good follow-up, and I'm glad that we're seeing that, but what is happening in the video game industry? I know it's probably all around and it's not exclusive to the video game industry, but what is happening that this is just becoming normalized, where people are beginning to think that it's okay to be racist if it's against white people? And like, here's how you fix this tweet. Instead of saying, raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games, just simply say, raise your hand if you buy video games. There you go. Your tweet is fixed. It's all inclusive and it can't offend anybody. It's not racist. It's not anything. It's not racially driven. It's actually asking the question that you're trying to ask without inserting race into it unnecessarily. Shit is getting spooky out here, man. People need to quit. And I said I wasn't going to go on about this, and I'm not, and I'll just say this. People need to quit obsessing over skin color, over race, over gender, over sexuality. People need to stop obsessing over these things, because the more you obsess over them, the more of a backseat the things that people actually care about, normal functioning people, normal functioning customers, which is the majority of us, the more that stuff actually takes a backseat. I get it. I understand. It's not going to go away completely. I'm not saying that we shouldn't shine a light on things that are wrong. We absolutely should. But I think where things get really screwed up is when people become so obsessed with shining a light on the wrong that they don't realize you're doing the same thing in reverse. Two wrongs don't make a right. That is something I learned as a child, as like a 5-year-old. And it's something that I've carried with me into adulthood. I don't know how there are adults walking this planet that don't understand that concept of two wrongs don't make a right. Exactly. It actually just creates further division. So, geez, man. You just got to wonder what's going on at these companies, that the people that they're hiring don't even think twice about saying this stuff, by the way. 3 rights make a left. Proving my point further. Actually, no, that doesn't prove my point further. I don't know what that proves. I've heard every time I've said that in life, 2 wrongs don't make a right. There's always somebody that says, but 3 rights make a left. And it's like, what is that trying to say, though? Is there something deeper that's trying to say? Because I'm not picking up on it. Kay the Barbarian, actually, you're saying, I'm being serious. As a black man, Barrett does talk jive. He's an outdated view of how Japanese people viewed black Americans. It's actually funny to me, but it is a caricature. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like it's my place to speak to that, right? Like I'm not a black man, obviously, so I don't feel comfortable speaking to that. All I can say is that putting the, I guess, more caricature side aside, if that's how you view it, I think everybody could at least agree though that like he's a good character that elevates the story. And I guess in my mind, I just view it as at the end of the day, when it comes to storytelling, that's what matters. You know, like I guess maybe I just have a bit of leniency in my view of storytelling in any medium where I don't expect perfection. And I understand that everybody has their own different views of things. And I guess I also just kind of have this understanding and acceptance that sometimes things are not going to be totally accurate, but maybe that's okay, you know? And I just think that, I don't know. For me, Barrett is my favorite character, not because he's over the top and silly. I think it's because he has this. Well, I mean, I saw people basically saying that Barrett brings this kind of like moral authority to the group, where he has just this intensity and this morality, you know, that it very much it's I don't say like it's pressed upon the group, but it makes itself known, and it plays a huge role in like advancing the plot and why these characters are doing what they're doing. And to me, that is kind of what made me gravitate towards Barrett's character, where I'm like, I like his attitude. I like the over the top nature and silliness coming from him. You know, I get it. I understand that there are aspects of it that's like a bit of a caricature and, you know, a bit of an exaggeration, but it is actually the more serious components of his character and like, you know, of who he is as a person, I guess you could say, in this world, and what he's doing, like why he's doing what he's doing, right? That's for me anyway. But damn, Jay Shako isn't holding back though. So we're not. I love how Hanzo is like, so we're not getting a Resident Evil 5 remake. I'll be honest, that Resident Evil 5 remake was probably in pre-production, and as soon as that IGN article hit, Capcom was like, shut that shit down. We're not dealing with this. Maybe we'll come back to it later. You think Barrett's annoying? That's interesting. Yeah, dude, I love Barrett. That's interesting. Crooked Vulture, you're saying the funny part to me is that the more these activists try to make every character diverse, the more of a vanilla character they become to me. Yeah, I get that too. That I think is kind of a problem where I guess that is where the frustration from some people lies. And I do get it, where it's like we want to have a diverse range of characters, and then of course, like if one or more of those characters that are supposed to be of different race or different ethnicity or different culture, there are things that are portrayed inaccurately that could be, you know, considered offensive, right, to the people they're trying to portray. I get that, but sometimes what I feel is that maybe some people are a little bit just misguided in that I always try to think of the intent. You know what I mean? Like when I'm watching something or encountering a story, I always try to think, what is the intent here? Like what energy, what vibe am I picking up on here? Is it something egregious? Is it something potentially nefarious? Is it something that's meant to offend? And a lot of times the answer is no. You know, for the stuff that I see, where I'm like, I don't see it. Like to me, it's like not that big of a deal, you know. And it's I could see why some people would be offended by it, but I'm like, I don't know. Is it that serious? But then again, maybe that's not my place to determine. I just can only speak for me. And I just feel like there is some truth to what Crooked Vulture said, in that in some people, I think they're so afraid to offend anybody that it's like, when we wrote this character, it's basically the most bland, boring character in the world, so that way it can't offend anybody. And it's like, well, that sucks. I mean, really? Like, is that what we're supposed to bring it down to? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Oh, shit. Hey, MBG, just a heads up. PS Portal's in stock on Walmart's website. Man, I knew this was going to happen. I can't get it right now. I can't get it right now. I want to get it, but I can't. I guess when I hope it'll still be there when I can purchase it. Anyway, I apologize. I said I wasn't going to go on about it. I went on about it for a little too long. I want to get back on track here. We have Edward Jordan, a member for 31 months, says, MBG, have you looked up the game studio, Cruel Man Studio? The devs who are making Phantom Blade Zero, they are working on another game called Stellar Saga. I actually never looked into the studio. I am excited for Phantom Blade Zero, but I didn't know. I didn't know that, I didn't know that they were working on another game called Stellar Saga. What's it about? Maybe I'll look it up later on. But yeah, I gotta see more gameplay of Phantom Blade Zero. We saw that at the PlayStation Showcase last year. It looks great. I want to see more. And I hope that I assume we will see more. Apparently they're going to try to have like some kind of demo, I think, out before the end of this year, which would be great. But, all right. So let me circle all the way back around now. Definitely took went on a side path there, went on a side quest. We're going to circle all the way back around. Conclusive thoughts on the PS5 Pro discussion to put a bow on this. I think the PS5 Pro is going to surprise people. I think it's going to be better than what people think. I think that devs are also, I think they're a little bit confused, some of them, because they're like, well, we didn't even tap into the PS5 yet, but there's no bad news. Devs are not against the PS5 Pro. They're not saying that they're going to have trouble with it. It seems like it's going to be just fine. And so I will continue to update you guys and talk about the PS5 Pro when we get more information. But now I want to move on and talk about the situation with a high-end PC being needed to match a PS5 game. I assume this is something that is probably going to cause some debates, but I'm not going to stay on this topic for too long, but I definitely want to relay this information to you guys. I came across this from Genki Japan over on X, and he says, Yoshi P says that you're going to need a, quote, pretty high spec PC, end quote, in order to play Final Fantasy 16 in a way that's similar to the PS5. And this is the exact quote that was it's coming from Destructoid. Quote, we want to have no breaks in the game. We want everything to be seamless. And so to replicate that in the thing that we're working on right now, and so to replicate that on PC, you're going to need a pretty high spec PC. So right now what we're doing is we're testing the game and our current optimization on a lot of different systems to see, again, what are going to be those minimum specs for playing the game in a way that's similar to the PS5 experience. So, yeah, this is, again, a direct quote. I know how people get when it comes to the console versus PC conversation. I know PC players, a lot of them, they freak out when they hear something like this, but don't shoot the messenger. I'm not saying this. This is what Yoshi P is saying. Apparently, in order to get Final Fantasy 16 to run similarly to how it runs on the PS5, you're going to need, as he says, a pretty high spec PC. Now, it's worth noting he doesn't say exactly how high spec. it would be quite funny to me if it turns out that, well, pretty high spec means a $500 PC. That's the question I have for you guys. Do you think you could get the same experience for Final Fantasy 16 that you get on a PS5 currently for a $500 gaming PC? That's my question. Because if he's saying pretty high spec, I'm assuming that means you would need a PC that's more than $500. Maybe $700, $800, maybe a little bit more, maybe like $1,000. Yeah, that's the only thing here that we don't. You're saying, Meet the Cheater saying high spec is kind of a vague statement. I agree. We do need more specification here to know, but I'm assuming he wouldn't just say something like that if it was like $100 difference. You just need a $600 PC and then you'll be good. High spec is $2,500. Oh, that would be crazy. I don't think it's that extreme. That'd be wild if in order, that'd be insane. If it's like, in order to get the same experience that you get on PS5, you need a $2,000 PC. I'd be like, whoa. What the hell? How did you guys get this to run this way on the PS5 then? Minimum $1,000, you think? Yeah, to me that sounds like ultra spec. $2,500. That sounds pretty decked out. I'm thinking maybe around $1,000, maybe like 900, give or take. Hoodrich 902, you're saying Linus did a video on this. I think I know what video you're talking about. Didn't he title the video like "We're gonna kill the PS5" or something like that? Where he built like a $500 PC that I think can do like exactly what the PS5, or very close to what the PS5 does. I didn't watch it, so I'm not entirely sure. You're saying Linus couldn't run Ratchet? Linus lied. Damn, am I gonna have to watch this video? I should check out this video though. I guess I just assumed when I saw it, like, oh, okay, you can build a $500 PS or PC that runs like a PS5. Watch it now. I'm not gonna watch it right now. Maybe we'll save it for like a members lounge or on a really, really slow news day. But yeah, it's interesting to hear this. I think that what we are looking at right now is, again, it's different. See, I think it's different for every development team. I think that sometimes we hear these interviews or we read these interviews and I think people just kind of assume like it's a blanket statement and it's applicable to all developers and all studios. But I think in reality, all development studios and teams are run differently. They all approach optimization differently. They all handle how they're going to take advantage of one or multiple systems differently. And I think that the general vibe I get from, what is it, Creative Business Unit 3, I guess? Is that the name of the team that made Final Fantasy 16? Such a strange name. Based off of all of the interviews I've heard, like they are literally making a PC version right now. They're literally, their goal, their incentive, Yoshi P's incentive right now is to get you excited for the PC version of Final Fantasy 16 so you'll buy it. And he's still out here basically like, yeah, if you want the exact experience you get on PS5, you're going to need a pretty high spec PC. That seems antithetical to me to actually selling the piece, not necessarily antithetical, like you're doing the opposite of selling the game. But I guess I'm just saying, for all the people who think that he's like paid to say this, or it's PR talk, I don't think so. I think I think we're seeing that Creative Business Unit 3, they just seem to be really good at, I don't know, I guess getting the most out of one piece of hardware, out of the PS5, because Final Fantasy 16 wasn't perfect on the PS5. As we talked about, the performance mode is very rough, but that game is insane. Like some of the stuff that was going on with some of those boss battles, I'm just like looking at the screen like, holy fuck. Like, is my system going to overheat right now? And so I don't know. I don't know if this is more along the lines of, let me give credit to Mark Cerny for the way he created the PS5 hardware. Let me give credit to Creative Business Unit 3 and Yoshi P's team, and how they're able to optimize this game for the PS5. I'm not exactly sure where the credit should go. Unit 0 is in the basement. Creative Business Unit 0 is in the basement. You're saying Final Fantasy 16 on PC will be fine. No, I think it'll be great. I don't think there's going to be any problems with FF16 on PC. I think that if you have a high-end rig, I'm assuming in order to get the most out of Final Fantasy 16, you'd probably need a pretty hefty rig, dude. I would imagine you're going to need some high-end components because, FF16, it seems like it's going to be a pretty demanding game. But I guess here's what I'll say is this is what Yoshi P is saying. He's saying you'll need a pretty high-spec PC. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. What I'm going to say is let's wait and see what that translates to really. Because once FF16 is actually out on PC, we're going to know this is what you would need. These are the specs you would need to run, to match the PS5 version. And if those specs are, oh yeah, that's well above $500, then we'll know this is a totally true statement. If it turns out that it's actually just at $500, it's really not that much more, then we'll know, okay, I guess he was playing it fast and loose with the term high-end specs. So we will see indeed, but I just wanted to let you guys know about that and talk about it because, yeah, FF6. Oh, by the way, forgot to bring this up. There's another quote here, and this one's even more interesting. What do you guys make of this? Yoshi P says he wants to expand Final Fantasy 16 to more platforms after PC and doesn't want to end just with the PC version. Quote, and this is again with Destructoid, quote, and once we get that done, that's when we start thinking about, okay, can we expand this to more systems and working on it? Because again, I don't want this to end with just the PC version. I want to continue to expand, end quote. How do you guys take that? Do you think Yoshi P is talking directly about Xbox? Do you think I've seen quite a few people responding to that thinking he's actually talking about the Switch 2. I don't know about that, but Dark Horse, you're thinking Xbox. I'm thinking both, actually. I'm thinking both. The Switch 2 might be... Dude, do you think the Switch 2 could run FF16? A lot of people think he's talking about the Switch 2 like exclusive, like, oh, that's the main console he has in mind. But I'm like, yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know that the Switch 2 can cloud gaming. I don't think they would do that. He was thinking Steam Deck. Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah. It could be both, though. I think it's more likely he's probably talking about Xbox because I think FF16 was a timed exclusive on PS5. And here's my question in all seriousness. Let's say next year Final Fantasy 16 is announced for Xbox. How many units does it sell? Because think about this. FF16 was a PS5 exclusive, and it was a huge system seller, or poised as a huge system seller, and it sold, I think, 3 million units in like a week or something like that. And that was on like 45 million PS5s. How many copies does FF16 sell on 28 million Series X and S's? See, to be honest, that's the only thing that makes me think maybe he's not talking about Xbox, because I can't, I mean, you guys are saying like 700K max, maybe 1 million or less than 1 million. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that would be worth it for them. I guess it really depends on how difficult and time consuming it would be. If it's easy as hell for them to make an Xbox version where it's like, here you go, it really took minimal effort, maybe it's worth it. It's just like, again, extra sales. But if They almost make it sound like whatever they move on to next after the PC version is going to require still even more optimization. Maybe they'll do both. Maybe they'll do both Xbox and the next Switch. But we'll see. But I thought I would mention that to you guys. I almost forgot. I'm really, really curious. Since we're talking about Final Fantasy and sales, I am really curious how Rebirth is selling right now. Because I don't know, a lot of people seem to think that Rebirth is selling poorly. And we haven't gotten any official, statement. Excuse me. We haven't gotten any official statement from Square or Sony. That'd be a shame, man. I wonder if at some point Sony might let go of this partnership with Square if it were to, I don't know, if sales were to really kind of fall apart or something. I do wonder if they would decide to be like, you know what, maybe this isn't worth it anymore for either of us. We have Jordan here with a $5 super chat. Jordan, thank you so much for that, man. You're saying, wish me a happy birthday, MBG. Still don't own a PS5, but I watch all of your content. Well, Jordan, happy birthday. I think that's the second birthday today. So, Jordan, you're sharing a birthday with who? Wait, am I losing my mind? I know somebody else had a birthday today. Oh, Bobby. Bobby Heckelmeyer. So 2 birthdays today. Happy birthday, Jordan, and thank you. That's actually quite interesting to me. You're saying you don't own a PS5 yet, or you just don't own one. So I don't know if you're planning on getting one, but you still watch all my content. I very much appreciate it, bro. Good stuff. And thank you for the super chat. Well, I'll be eagerly anticipating a sales update for both Final Fantasy 16 and FF7 Rebirth, but specifically, I want to know more about FF7 Rebirth. Space Gambler Jr. is saying your birthday was on the 25th. Well, happy belated birthday, Space Gambler. All right. Yeah, that's true, Rudy. You're saying we still haven't heard any hard sales numbers for Helldivers 2 from Sony. That's surprising to me. Doesn't anybody think that's kind of nuts? This game has clearly sold more than Helldivers 2 has clearly sold more than 5 million units. The rumor is it's over 8 million. And there's a lot of speculation that this game has sold or is very close to selling 10 million. I'm shocked. I'm actually quite shocked that Sony hasn't announced that because that's huge, man. Maybe they are waiting for it to hit 10 million and then they're going to announce it. Yeah, that's true. It's still selling, so maybe they're just kind of waiting till they hit that 10 million mark. I'm going to laugh when they announce tomorrow it sold 10 million. I really want to see that announcement, though, because I want to know. I want to know if it actually hits 10 million. That would be insane, dude. That'd be absolutely insane. All right, so we're going to move on to the next topic here, which talks about Santa Monica's new game. I'm eager to talk about this topic with you guys. Before we do, though, guys, I said guys like 4 times. Hit that like button for me. You guys are absolutely, I said it again, you are crushing it today. We're sitting at 220 likes. We can easily crush 225 likes, easily. Let's see if we can get to 250 likes. Okay? It helps the streams out way more than you know. And I'd really appreciate it. But now we are talking about Sony Santa Monica's new game. So most of you know that Santa Monica Studio, one of Sony's biggest internal PlayStation studios, is working on a new game. And they've been working on a new game for quite some time. But for the first time, we have the legend himself, Cory Barlog. He comes out and he seemingly acknowledges this game with an interesting tweet that, again, I covered this in yesterday's video, but I have more I want to say. So this was tweeted on March 22nd. He says, seeing some early things coming together on this thing I am working on right now, and goddamn, the people I get to work with at Santa Monica are just fucking beyond brilliant. Video games are cool. And he put a little gif here of Freya high-fiving herself. And this definitely got people's attention because there's a really, really good chance, in fact, it seems pretty much confirmed, that he's talking about the new IP that Santa Monica's working on. And so I go over here to IGN. This was a report from September 8th, 2023. God of War developer Santa Monica is reportedly developing a sci-fi RPG. Here's what we know. Santa Monica Studio, developers behind God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, are reportedly developing a new RPG game. The studio, a subsidiary of Sony Interactive Entertainment, has already announced in the past that they are currently working on several titles and that one of them will be a brand new IP. The new report comes from Smitch. I thought it was Snitch. It's Smitch, a Reset Era user who spotted Fernando Secco's LinkedIn page. Secco is a senior staff programmer at Santa Monica Studio. His profile stated that he is part of a team that is developing an unannounced IP and for which he is the World Progression Team Lead. This role includes leading with a small group of programmers in all things progression, RPG systems, resource loading, spawning, save game, trophies, visual scripting, and whatnot. The mention of RPG systems has led to massive speculation on the internet. People are also linking this statement to God of War director Cory Barlog. He said in the past that he is involved in an undisclosed project. Sorry, let me try this again. He has said in the past that he has been involved with an undisclosed project for years. There's also been relations sprung between this new report and that time when Santa Monica Studios' Alana Pierce accidentally said during a stream that she's working on an unannounced sci-fi game. Putting two and two together, it is not hard to reach the conclusion that Santa Monica Studio may indeed be working on a sci-fi game with RPG elements. However, it's important to take all of this with a grain of salt. Now, to fuel this further, guys, to take this a step further, this was... Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. This article is completely broken. Give me 1 second. This whole thing is collapsing. From Gamatsu, this was reported February 13th, 2024. So just last month, okay? Just last month. Sony Interactive Entertainment trademarks Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Sony Interactive Entertainment filed a trademark for Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet on February 12th in the United States. The PlayStation manufacturer has yet to announce a game project with that title, and it is rare nowadays for the company to trademark the title of a project before its announcement. And so, guys, I think this is the game that Cory Barlog is working on. There seems to be a through line here. That through line is Cory Barlog pretty much said back when Ragnarok was announced with gameplay that he's not directing Ragnarok, he's working on a new project. And he also seemed to, at the time, hint in his own way on his Twitter account that it's something set in space. And since then, yes, we had Alana Pierce, who works at Santa Monica, accidentally let it slip that they're working on a sci-fi game. We saw with another Santa Monica employee that, he's working on a new IP, and he mentions RPG aspects. And we have this game called Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Very interesting title. I like the second part. If this is the name of the game, Intergalactic Heretic Prophet, I think they need to drop the Intergalactic. I mean, it's fine if that's what they want to go for. I'm not going to judge the game based off of the name. That would be very stupid. I think the Heretic Prophet sounds just a lot cooler, but yeah, the intergalactic part's a little. I don't know about that, but we'll see. But I do think that this is this game. I do. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but think about it. I mean, the word intergalactic to me actually seems to be the giveaway. If this is truly like a space RPG that they've been working on, intergalactic sounds like it could be it's something that's set in space. But this is super exciting because now we have Cory Barlog basically saying that he's pumped because him and his team I'm assuming they just achieved some kind of milestone where something came together, and people are thinking that, this is actually maybe disappointing because this game is nowhere near being done, because he's saying that something early on just came together. But I am not so sure about that. I don't think we're going to see this game for some time. I want to make it clear. This new IP that Santa Monica Studio is working on, I don't think this is going to release before possibly like 2026. I could see this game being like a 2027 game. I know that sounds disappointing, but it's a brand new AAA IP. We know that these games take a long time, especially when they're fresh projects that require, just building from the ground up. 2026 at the earliest, I would say. 2026 the absolute earliest, but I do think it for sure it is coming this generation. But I also want to say that Cory Barlog has made it known, and other developers on AAA projects have made it known that AAA game development is chaotic, and a lot of times things don't actually come together until the very end. Things don't actually piece together until the very end. And in fact, most of the game development is them hoping that everything's going to line up just perfect, so that when they go to put the pieces together, they all fit perfectly. And so this tells me that they hit a major milestone of the game where they had to see if it was going to come together, and it did. And Cory's like, yes, amazing, we're doing it. Yeah, and that's interesting as well. You're saying, but with MBG, there's also a rumor that Naughty Dog's new IP is also sci-fi. I don't think Naughty Dog's new IP is sci-fi. You're right, that was a rumor. I don't remember where exactly that came from, but I'm pretty sure that Naughty Dog's new IP is actually like high fantasy. I think it's like medieval / high fantasy. I do think that's what it's going to be. And what tipped me off is Naughty Dog's seeming obsession with Bloodborne and Elden Ring, and this obsession with wanting to create a game that's based in melee combat, which is I don't know. To me, that sounds awesome. I would love to see that from Naughty Dog, but I think it would be a mistake, truthfully, if Santa Monica came out and was like, here's our new space RPG, our sci-fi space RPG. You're saying that is a type of science fiction? I guess it would be, yeah. But I think it would be a mistake if if Santa Monica Studio came out and was like, here's our space sci-fi RPG, brand new game, and then Naughty Dog came out and says, and here's our space RPG. I think that would be a bit too too much overlap. It reminds me of how people thought that Days Gone was too similar to The Last of Us, and to be fair, there were similarities, but they still were very different games. But yeah, people, even with something like that, they were like, Sony, it looks like you're maybe making too much of the same type of game here. Abby in space. CB Gilgamesh with a $5 super chat says, catching up, but you haven't played any of the Ninja Gaiden games? Oh man, if you haven't, you are missing out. So I can say that I have not played through a Ninja Gaiden game, but I'm certain when I was younger, I played a little bit of one of the Ninja Gaiden games. Aren't they notoriously difficult? They're ridiculously hard. But yeah, I have not actually played through any of them. So when I said that Rise of the Ronin's my first proper Team Ninja game, they are difficult. Yeah, I think I have the pre-order bonus in the game of I I think it's like the actual costume from the character, or one of the characters. I guess it's the main character from Ninja Gaiden. You're saying I have to play Neo? Maybe one day I will. I don't know, man. I really... I like the approach that Team Ninja has with the combat here. But I can't say that I plan to go back and play Ninja Gaiden. I'd be lying if I said that that's something I plan on doing. Although I have seen so many people ask for a new Ninja Gaiden game, I wonder if one day we will get one. So thank you for that super chat, buddy. We have, you're saying the Ninja Gaiden collection is on sale right now. Leave me alone. Just let me play Rise of the Ronin in peace. Maybe I'll look up gameplay at some point, though. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I always say never say never, but I think a lot of you know me by now. If I ever do plan to play Ninja Gaiden, I'm sure I'll let you know, but it's not on my radar right now. Chris Brown, a member for 8 months, says, MBG, Google Naughty Dog fantasy concept art. There are images. Also, the new digital Series X looks dumb. LMAO. I love how you threw that in at the end there. I know exactly what you're talking about, Chris. I've seen these images, and this is why I think, like, yeah, here's my question, right? Like, I know we're bringing Naughty Dog into the conversation, even though we're supposed to be talking about Sony Santa Monica, but I just want to ask, what are the chances if Naughty Dog does do like a fantasy, more medieval type game, or, you know, high fantasy type medieval game, how much of it is going to be like, do you think you'll be able to customize your character? Do you think they'll really go in like the more RPG, in the RPG direction? Or do you think it'll basically, Naughty Dog is likely to stick to their kind of, you know, we have preset characters, we have a main character, we have side characters, and we have a story, and it's going to be linear, or maybe, I guess it could be open world, but, you know, that's how it's going to be? Or do you think they're just going to go full blown, like, we want to make like a, like, very different type of game. Like, we want to make like an action RPG. I'm telling you, dude, look, I know that I think fans would lose their minds. Some fans in a bad way. Like, could you just imagine if Naughty Dog went from The Last of Us Part 2 to here's an action RPG where you customize your own character? I think some people would lose their minds. I would love that. That would be so awesome to see. Yeah, fuck it. Just let them make Bloodborne 2. Holy shit, dude. Oh my God, is that what they were trying to hint at? Now you're blowing my mind. Is that why in the documentary they were like obsessing over Bloodborne? They're like, please God, let us make Bloodborne 2. I'm kidding, of course. But something that I think is very clear is whatever their next game is will have some kind of Bloodborne inspiration, which is good news. But getting back to Santa Monica's game, here's the question I have. Cory Barlog came out on Twitter and he expressed excitement that the team just achieved something with this new IP. It came together. I'm thinking about the timing. It's the end of March. What are the chances that he's basically talking about like a gameplay reveal or just a game reveal? Like they are basically trying to get this game ready to reveal at the upcoming showcase, whenever that might be. And they're like, this is going to happen. Like, this is the moment. We're ready to go. We got it together. Do you think he could be talking about that? I think he might be. Maybe it's hopium. Maybe it's wishful thinking. I think he might be, though, because I'm just not sure why else he would share it publicly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure why else. Because he's not dumb. Cory Barlog's not dumb. He knows that he's going to get the attention of a lot of people, a lot of PlayStation fans. And he knows the first thing that's going to pop into their head. New game. New game, new game, new game. So I guess I'm hoping that that's kind of what he's teasing between. And also, the trademark. That's why I brought that up. I know it looks like I'm trying to connect the dots, and I guess that's because I am. The dots that I'm connecting right now are he's been working on this game for a while. This team, they've been working on this unannounced new IP for years now. We got the trademark of a title that starts with the term intergalactic. We know that it's basically a sci-fi space RPG. And now we have Cory Barlog, the director of this game, basically hyping it up. Something they just did. And we're presumably a month or two away from, not a month, we're probably like 2 or 3 months away from the next PlayStation Showcase. So I don't want to get my hopes too high here, but I'm going to do it just momentarily. Please allow a man to dream. Could we see at the showcase this year this new IP from Santa Monica and a Ghost of Tsushima sequel? I'm thinking we might, dude. Dark Horse is like, no, boy. And Team Asobi, oh man. You know that Vince McMahon meme where he's like, and then he like falls off his chair? It's going to be me. I'm like, oh. That'd be amazing. We'll see if it happens. I don't want to get my hopes too high. For all I know, this game is not ready to be revealed, and this has nothing to do with it. And that's a good point. Somebody in the chat was saying, well, all of this stuff is usually calculated. I'm going to say it's 65-35. I'm saying there's a 65% chance we're going to see this new IP revealed this year. 35% chance it's not happening this year. I think Sony has to reveal a new IP. Maybe Naughty Dog isn't ready to go. Maybe Sony Bend isn't ready to go, but maybe Santa Monica is ready to go. Maybe Sucker Punch is ready to go. Saying Vince McMahon is in a world of trouble and appears to be an actual piece of shit. Yeah, I haven't been following that. I just know Vince McMahon from the memes. Truthfully. Well, I will keep you guys updated, but I definitely felt like I had to let you guys know about this situation with Sony Santa Monica. Man, it feels like it's going to be a big deal. I don't know. Let's talk about the Kurt Angle memes instead. Oh, yeah, even better. Yeah, insert Kurt Angle staring at the camera meme. That's me after the showcase last year. That was me after that showcase, bro. Yeah, hopefully insert Ric Flair meme. That's me after this year's showcase. Dude, that Kurt Angle meme, amazing. Did you guys ever actually see the video that he made where that meme came from? It's incredible. Like, these memes, you can tell they're born organically. These people who become memes, they're not trying. They're not trying to be memes, and yet they become legendary memes. I hope one day I can be a meme. I think some people have tried to make me a meme, but just never really hit right, you know? If I can ever become a meme, I'll be happy because I can cash out, you know? I'm good. Anyway, the clown MBG is a meme. I feel like that was the closest one, dude. But it's not ubiquitous enough, you know? Like, if you were to search, like, clown, to post on a social media, I don't think my image would come up at all. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Old man MBG meme. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Anyway, to make a good meme of you, MBG, it's start by replacing myself with boss and letting my voice do the talking. That would be great. That would be awesome. Meme-based gamer. Solid Snake MBG. Good times, good times. Yeah, so the last thing I want to say about the Santa Monica topic is, on a more serious note, this is going to be a very big deal when they announce this game. I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm obviously looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping I'll like it, and I'm assuming I will. I mean, they would have to go pretty far out of their way. They would have to make a very, I don't know, strange game for me to not be excited for it. But here's the big deal about Santa Monica's new game. This is going to be the first new IP from them since God of War. Think about that. I mean, think about Kratos in space, yeah. Think about that, though. Think about how kind of a big deal that is for the studio. First new IP since God of War, since 2005. That's crazy, man. That's actually crazy. So I'm really curious to see what this game is going to be. Kratos in space, low-key, sounds kind of awesome, though. But yeah, doesn't it make you wonder? Like, doesn't it make you wonder what would the gameplay be like? I mean, how similar would this gameplay, or how different would this gameplay of a space RPG from Santa Monica? What would it play like? How action-oriented would it be? I mean, there's a lot they could do. No way. You just typed PlayStation Clown into YouTube and Neil Druckmann was the first video shown? Bruh. That's brutal. That's brutal, man. That's, wow. It's, you know what's crazy about that is like the amount of things that could have shown up and the fact that Neil's the first that's the first thing that shows up. That's crazy, dude. That's actually kind of crazy. All right. Yeah, that's true. Before I move on to the final topic, you're saying if it's in space, it'll likely have shooter mechanics. That's going to be really interesting, man. Like, that's going to be really, if we get a new IP from Santa Monica, it's a space RPG, and it's the main combat mechanics are, it's a shooter. Whew. When is PlayStation's 30th anniversary? This December. All right, listen, we're going to move on to here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on to the final topic, which is something I don't plan to spend a lot of time on, but I figured I would just let you guys know because I didn't even know about this. This is being reported by VGC. Sony has successfully won a patent infringement lawsuit in which it was being sued for $500 million for its controller-to-console communication method. The lawsuit was initially filed against Sony in 2017 by Genuine Enabling Technology, or GET, which claimed that Sony had infringed on its patent in the way its controllers and consoles connect to one another. However, as reported by GamesIndustry.biz, a U.S. District Court judge has now ruled in Sony's favor, deciding it didn't infringe on the patent. One of the main complaints in GET's suit was that PlayStation consoles and the controllers submit a slow, varying frequency signal for button inputs and a higher frequency signal for motion controls. According to GET, no device was able to receive both signals at the same time until its patent provided the solution. Sony's argument was that GET had failed to prove that a specific component in its controllers was structurally equivalent to the diagrams GET's patent. The judge agreed and saying that GET had failed to raise a dispute of fact found in Sony's favor, ruling that it hadn't infringed on the patent and that the case was now closed. As GI.biz points out, GET still has a similar lawsuit ongoing against Nintendo. This suit was also found in Nintendo's favor in 2020, but the decision was reversed in 2022 by the U.S. Court of Appeals and is still ongoing. So, did any of you guys know about this? Because this is the first time I'm hearing about this lawsuit, but that would have been a crazy lawsuit for Sony to lose $500 million. They definitely wouldn't have been happy about that. But when I first came across this, I thought this had to do with the more recent lawsuit that's, I forget who was filing it, but it was for, had to do with like digital, the digital storefront, which it seems likely they're not going to win that one either. But yeah, there you go. I really don't think I have much to say about this. To be honest, I don't even know why I made this a topic because I don't know what to say about it other than I guess that's good for Sony. I'm assuming if Sony did actually infringe on anything, it would have been made pretty obvious and it wouldn't have been ruled in their favor. There's a lawsuit every year targeting Sony. They win most of them. All right, here's what we're going to do. So we're a little over the 3-hour mark. I owe you guys, I owe Boss some treats. I'm going to be bringing Boss in to give him some treats, and we're going to do a couple reps with some metal. All right, because we hit 2 goals today. We're sitting at 51 members. As I'm doing this, it'll basically be last call for anybody else that wants to maybe throw in any more membership gifts. It's up to you if you want to do that, because what we're going to do when I'm finished this stream, which will be soon, when I'm finished this stream, we're going to move over to the members lounge and I'm going to be doing some more Rise of the Ronin gameplay. Okay, so just give me one moment to go grab Boss and we'll get this show on the road and finish it up. So I'll be right back. All right, Boss is in here with me. It's time to give him some snacks. Can you hear him meowing? He's actually talking right now. Here we go. I know you're ready. Enjoy, Boss. That's thanks to the community once again. And let me get a metal track here. I think we'll do some. I'm thinking some shoulder press. Go, Boss, go. Let me get this set up though. What track should I use? Showcase this year? Yeah, there's going to be a showcase this year. There's no reason there shouldn't be. All right, I'm going to play Demise. What's this one? It's going to get loud for a moment. Here we go. Think super chats aren't working? All right, here we go. saying this is some anime shit. I was going to try to go for 25 reps, but I got 20 in. 20, I'd say they were pretty good reps too. Pretty slow, controlled. The 30-pound dumbbells. Not going too heavy. Boss needs more food. Bro, he's still got some snacks here. Boss, you ready to do some reps now, bro? You all fueled up? But there you go, guys. Some reps I owed you. Again, that's for hitting 50 members gifted today. Thank you guys for that. We have our fun here, of course, but in all seriousness, if it wasn't for the generosity of you guys out there, of this community, I wouldn't be able to do these streams. At least not anywhere near the way I like doing them and enjoy doing them. And yeah, so thank you guys for everything you do for me, for Boss, for the family, for the community. You guys are awesome. Let me see where we're at here. So we're at the 3 hour and 12 minute mark. So I'll let this go for a couple more minutes and put these down. I'll bring the stream to a close at 3 hours and 15 minutes. Chris, you're saying, I'll try my super chat in the members lounge because the stream isn't letting me. Dude, something's going on. Chris, you're not the only one. Has anybody else here been having problems trying to super chat or gift memberships? Because I've been seeing like quite a few people, not like a lot, but at least like a handful of people saying that they're having problems. Chris, I wish I knew what to say. I have no idea what the problem could be. Hit the limit, you think? Never. I don't think so. Not with super chats. YouTube is glitching today, you're saying? It's very disappointing because, like, I appreciate all the super chats and whatnot that you guys are able to do. And then I know that there are people, they say that they try to gift or they try to super chat and something's just going on with YouTube where it doesn't let them. All right, well, it's okay, man. Chris, like you said, maybe you can try it in the members lounge. And again, I know I've said it multiple times, but people are always coming and going. We are going to be moving over to the members lounge after the stream, which is coming to an end in 1 minute. And we're going to be streaming some more Rise of the Ronin. I hope if you are a channel member, you will join me over there. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, once again, thank you guys for everything. I also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. Devil Shooter does the timestamps for the streams. He does a great job. Thank you for what you do, Devil Shooter. Dark Horse, you're saying it is glitchy right now. Bro, why are you sneezing in my face like that? Ghetto God, you're saying I tried super chatting so many times and it would never let me. I gave up. I even Googled it and went into a Reddit blog. That's ridiculous, man. Yeah, Alan L. Gould, Chris Brown. All you guys are saying all of you guys are saying you're trying to fund the channel through super chats and it's not letting you. This is ridiculous. Like, that is actually hurting me. Not you guys, but the fact that YouTube won't allow that. That's actually hurting me. That's very sad. I hope YouTube figures it out, man. All right, but we hit the 3 hour and 15 minute mark. So, guys, I'm going to bring the stream to an end. Look out for my members lounge. It's going to be going up in just a couple of minutes. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. To all my members, I'll catch you in the lounge. To everybody else, I'll catch you in the next stream. So until then, take care, everyone.